Hello and welcome. Before we begin tonight's gentle journey, let's take a moment to relax and find comfort right here, right now. Close your eyes and allow yourself the peace you deserve. Feel your body softly sink into the mattress beneath you. There are no worries here, no obligations. Simply breathe deeply, slowly, allowing your breath to nourish you. Notice how your muscles gently relax and how your body becomes heavier, warmer, softer. Give yourself permission to rest. Tonight, you are safe, peaceful, and ready to softly drift away into the realm of dreams. Now listen gently as we begin this journey together. Imagine softly that you are drifting downward, gently shrinking into a smaller, quieter world. A world hidden from view, invisible to our everyday eyes, yet alive with quiet motion and subtle beauty. You find yourself softly floating into the microscopic realm, entering a universe that exists everywhere and nowhere all at once. Here, in this hidden dimension, particles whisper softly to one another, creating quiet symphonies of possibility. You sense that this world is both familiar and beautifully mysterious, like the gentle rustling of leaves on a calm evening breeze. You float effortlessly among countless tiny spheres, each one shimmering gently, illuminated by a soft inner glow. Before anything else, let go. Let the sounds around you fade like ripples in a still pond. Settle gently into the space beneath you, your mattress supporting every curve of your body, your limbs growing heavier with each breath. Let your mind loosen its grip on the day. The errands, the questions, the screens, the words, they'll wait for you. Right now, there is only stillness, there is only breath, and there is only this quiet journey we are about to take. Not outward, but inward. You are about to travel to a realm that lies beneath the visible world, a realm not of stars or galaxies, but of the tiniest building blocks of everything you know. Smaller than cells, smaller than molecules, smaller even than atoms. You are shrinking in imagination now, deeper and deeper, until your awareness brushes the edge of the quantum world, a place where matter behaves like a dream. The quantum world does not operate by the rules you know. It does not follow the logic of clocks and gravity and objects moving neatly through space. It is not orderly in the way the human eye wants it to be. Here, nothing is solid, nothing is fixed, and yet everything that is built from trees to thoughts is born here. This is the birthplace of reality, and it is made not of certainty but of whispers. What we call a particle in this world, an electron, a photon, a quark, is not like a tiny grain of sand. It is more like a flicker, a probability, a possibility suspended in a quiet hum. When you try to look directly at it, it changes. When you ask it a question, it answers by becoming the thing you've asked about. But before that moment, it is not committed to one form. It lives in a state we call superposition, a state of both and, here and there, this and that. Until it is observed, it is all of them at once. Let's imagine for a moment a single electron. It's one of the tiniest, most fundamental particles in the universe. It carries a negative electric charge, and it lives in every atom of your body. Without electrons, chemistry wouldn't happen, light wouldn't shine, nerves wouldn't fire. But this electron is not a dot circling around a nucleus like a planet around a star. It is a cloud, a gentle smear of possibility. You cannot say for sure where it is, only where it might be. If you try to measure the electron's position with perfect precision, you lose track of how fast it's moving. If you try to measure its speed, you lose track of where it is. This is not a failure of instruments. It is nature's own rule. It's called the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, and it means that some aspects of reality are fundamentally unknowable at the same time. There is always a haze, a softness, an invitation to humility, and yet from this uncertainty, the structure of everything arises. Electrons don't fall into the nucleus because of this dance of uncertainty. Atoms have size, matter has form. Your body exists because particles refuse to be pinned down. Let yourself drift now as if you are floating beside this electron. You don't see it so much as sense it, a presence, a rhythm, a light tremble of energy in the void. And you are not alone. Every electron in your body, and there are trillions, follows the same rules. They do not move in predictable, classical ways. They follow the path of probability. You may ask, how do we know any of this? How can we speak with such confidence about a world that we cannot touch? The answer lies in experiment. Over and over again, physicists have probed the quantum realm and found the same answers, strange but consistent. One of the most famous experiments in all of science is the double-slit experiment, which reveals the true nature of particles like electrons or photons. Imagine a simple wall with two slits cut into it. On the other side of the wall is a screen that records where particles land. If you fire electrons one at a time through the slits, what would you expect? Two bands on the screen corresponding to each slit, like two shadows. That's not what you get. Instead, you get a pattern of ripples, an interference pattern. The kind of pattern you'd expect if the electron were not a particle at all, but a wave that went through both slits simultaneously and interfered with itself. This is strange enough, but it gets stranger. When scientists place detectors at the slits to see which one the electron goes through, the interference pattern disappears. Now it behaves like a particle again, just one slit, one path, no interference. The very act of observing which slit it took changes the outcome. Let that settle. The electron does not choose a path until we watch it. The universe, at its most basic level, is not made of fixed events. It is made of probabilities that solidify only when measured. Observation shapes outcome, but what is observation really? Does it mean a human eye watching? A consciousness? Not necessarily. Most physicists agree that it can be any interaction, any exchange of information, a detector, a photon, a bump. But the mystery remains. The quantum world holds its cards close until something touches it, and still, you lie there, quiet, warm, still, and realize something extraordinary. You are made of this. You are composed entirely of particles that wait, that shift, that shimmer in uncertainty. The chair, the floor, the air, your memories, everything rests on this quantum foundation. A universe that is not rigid but fluid, not binary but layered in probability. Your body is a field of energy, a slow miracle of arrangement, and the particles that make you were born in stars. Literally, the hydrogen that fuels your cells was made in the Big Bang. The carbon in your muscles was forged in ancient suns. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, all born in the death of stars. And what guided their formation, what governed their movements? Quantum laws. Imagine the particles in your heart, right now, once rippling across the galaxy. You are not merely in the universe is in you. Breathe in, feel the quiet weight of that truth. But quantum mechanics doesn't just deal in particles, it also deals in fields, invisible forces that stretch across the entire universe. Every kind of particle is associated with a field, the electron field, the photon field, the Higgs field. When one of these fields is excited in just the right way, a particle appears. Not from nothing, but from the energy of the field itself. You are floating now, not through a world of particles, but a world of fields, waves rippling quietly in space. Reality, it turns out, is not made of things, but of vibrations, of resonances, of patterns written in energy. And even when you are asleep, these fields continue. They never stop. They do not depend on your awareness, but somehow they made you capable of awareness. You are the universe watching itself. In your body, quantum events are happening every second. Inside your neurons, ions move. In your cells, electrons shift between energy states. In your eyes, photons trigger chemical reactions that allow you to see. And while most of these processes can be described classically at large scales, underneath them all is a substrate of quantum rules. Let yourself feel the elegance of it all, the quiet symmetry, the hum of uncertainty that gives birth to order. And still, the quantum world holds mysteries. Why do particles have the masses they do? Why does the act of measurement collapse the wave function? What does it mean to say a particle exists in many states? These questions may never have complete answers, but they do not need to. The role of quantum physics is not to explain everything, but to reveal how much there is to wonder at. And wonder itself is a kind of rest, a soft curiosity that asks without demanding, that observes without trying to own. So you lie here gently breathing, and within you particles continue their eternal whispering, each one a flicker of potential, each one in its own way carrying a piece of the cosmos. They do not ask to be known, they only ask to be noticed. Let your mind float among them, like wind between tall grass. You don't need to remember terms or equations, just the feeling, the stillness beneath complexity, the beauty of a universe that is both soft and precise. Particles do not explain the meaning of life, but they show us what life is made of. They remind us that certainty is not required for belonging, that the smallest things can carry the greatest wonder, that silence itself may be filled with motion. And so, as your body relaxes and your mind begins to drift towards sleep, you carry with you the whispers of electrons, the shimmer of fields, the breath of probability. The quantum world does not close its doors. It waits, always to be seen. You are part of that seeing. Sleep now, gently. You are made of stardust and waves, and the particles are still dancing. Though you cannot feel them individually, their quiet work is constant. The warmth of your skin, the gentle beat of your heart, the flicker of thought behind your resting mind, all of it is carried forward by movements so small and numerous, they dissolve into stillness. And yet if you could zoom in again into the depth of your cells, into the cloud of electrons that form the edges of every atom, you would see a world alive with shimmering potential. There is a term in quantum physics called quantum tunneling, and it defies the instincts of everyday life. It describes the way particles can cross barriers they shouldn't be able to pass, not by smashing through them, but by briefly existing on the other side. It's as though the wall was only a suggestion, and the particle quietly decided otherwise. This phenomenon allows the sun to burn, it allows radioactive decay to occur, it even plays a role in the enzymatic processes within your body. What feels like a miracle is simply the strange generosity of nature at its smallest scale. Now consider the idea of wave function collapse, a term that sounds technical but marks the moment when something fluid becomes something real. The wave function is the mathematical representation of all the possible states a quantum particle could be in. When a measurement occurs, the particle collapses into one of those possibilities. But what determines when collapse happens? Why does observation shape outcome? These questions sit at the edges of our understanding. Some interpretations suggest multiple worlds, every possibility actually happens, and the universe branches accordingly. Others argue that the particle was always one thing, and we were just uncertain. Still others, like the Copenhagen interpretation, suggest that particles truly exist in multiple states until observed. The answers are debated, but the beauty lies in the asking. The fact that we do not have certainty here is not a flaw. It is a feature of a universe that invites participation, a universe that does not demand full comprehension, but does reward curiosity. In this way, quantum physics is more than science. It is philosophy with evidence. You might wonder what all of this has to do with your daily life. After all, you do not float in superpositions or tunnel through walls, but in truth, your world is possible only because of these strange rules. Semiconductors, which power your phone and your computer, rely on quantum behavior. The reason your body doesn't collapse into itself is because of quantum exclusion principles, rules that keep electrons from piling into the same state. Even photosynthesis, the process by which plants turn sunlight into energy, uses quantum coherence to move energy efficiently. So as you lie there, slowly drifting towards sleep, you are not leaving the quantum world behind, you are sinking into it. With every breath, you are part of the great field of being, governed by subtle laws and elegant mathematics, but lived as warmth, peace and rest. Consider now the principle of entanglement, which we will explore more deeply later, but which begins here. It tells us that two particles, once connected, can remain linked even across vast distances. When one is measured, the other responds instantly, no matter how far apart they are. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance, and it disturbed him deeply. But the effect has been proven again and again. It is real, it is mysterious, it defies space and time. Is there something in you that longs for connection like that? Something that believes deep down that you are still somehow linked to people you've loved, to places you've been, to moments that shaped you? Perhaps entanglement is not just a scientific fact, but a mirror of the emotional truths we feel most deeply. That to touch something is to change it forever. That distance does not always mean disconnection, and still the particles dance. Not in chaos, but in a kind of music. The mathematics of quantum mechanics are incredibly precise, predictive. They've led to technologies that have transformed the world, yet their language is probability, their behavior fluid. It's as if the universe has written its code in whispers. Let that sink in. The most accurate theory humans have ever developed, one that has never failed an experiment, is built on uncertainty, on chance, on things being one way and another until they're not. There is a kind of comfort in that, isn't there? The idea that perfection and unpredictability can exist side by side. You do not need to solve quantum physics tonight. You only need to let it soften the edges of what you thought reality was, to let it whisper you towards sleep with a truth more gentle than any rule, that the world is made not of absolutes, but of openness. Breathe in again, slowly. Let your lungs expand with the air that has circled this earth more times than we can count. Let it fill you, just as you are, in a state of peaceful uncertainty. You do not need to know where you're going. You only need to know that right now, this is enough. Even the concept of a vacuum in physics, a space devoid of matter, is not truly empty. It teems with possibility. Tiny particles and antiparticles appear and disappear in fleeting pairs, borrowing energy from space itself, only to vanish again. This is called quantum foam, and it tells us that even silence is never really silent. Let your mind rest in that thought, that even in the stillness there is motion, that even when nothing is happening, something is being born. You have travelled tonight into a realm that few can visualize but all are a part of, a realm of particles and probabilities, of fields and functions, of uncertainty and awe. And in doing so, you've touched a part of the world that never stops becoming. As you now begin to surrender fully to sleep, let the imagery settle into your bones, particles flickering in clouds of maybes, electrons dancing in ripples around atoms, a universe that watches back, the comfort of knowing that you are not separate from this strange beauty. You are made of it. Everything that seems still is a dance of unseen waves. Everything that seems certain began as a question. You too are a becoming, and in the space between your thoughts, in the soft stillness of your body lying here, the quantum world continues. Not loudly, not obviously, but faithfully. Let it carry you. Let it hum beneath your dreams. Let it hold you, just like gravity holds stars and atoms hold space, quietly, effortlessly, and always. Light surrounds you, even when your eyes are closed. Not in the literal sense, your room is likely dim now, lit only by a soft glow, a subtle warmth. But light is everywhere. It is a part of you. Your skin feels it, your eyes respond to it, and your body's rhythms quietly shift with the rising and setting of the sun. But what is light really? Tonight we drift into the story of the photon, a particle of light, a traveller and a mystery. In this chapter we walk beside it, not at the speed of life, but at the speed of light. Imagine now that you are standing in a quiet room, where a single beam of light cuts through the air like a silk ribbon. The room is dusty, and each particle suspended in space becomes visible as the beam touches it. This light is not loud, it is not hot, it is soft, warm. It lands on your skin with no weight at all, yet it carries energy. It travels from the past to the present, perhaps from a lamp, perhaps from a star. Now imagine following one of those tiny light particles backward. Rewind time. You pass the lamp filament, the glass, the electric circuit that fed it, the wire, the power station. Keep going, keep peeling back. Eventually you are standing at the moment the photon was born. A tiny burst of energy released as an electron in an atom fell from one energy level to another. Not a crash, not a collapse, just a gentle shift. And in that instant a photon was released. Photons have no mass, they do not rest. They are born in motion, and they move constantly at the cosmic speed limit, 299,792 kilometers per second. That's the speed of light in a vacuum. In the time it took you to read this sentence, a photon has circled the planet several times, and yet a photon experiences no time, because it travels at light speed. Its internal clock does not tick. From its point of view, it is emitted and absorbed in the same instant. To us, it may travel for billions of years across galaxies, but to the photon, its entire existence is a single breathless moment. Let that thought settle for a moment. Light is timeless. Now walk again beside that photon, not as a scientist, but as a traveller. It moves not in a straight line, but in waves, not as a beam, but as a field. This duality, wave and particle, is at the heart of light's mystery. You cannot separate one from the other. Light is not either or, it is both and. This wave-particle duality is not unique to light, but it is easiest to see in photons. In some experiments, they act like particles, striking detectors one by one. In others, they create interference patterns, like ripples that cancel and amplify each other, revealing their wave nature. But here's the mystery. Even a single photon travelling alone through a double-slit setup will behave like a wave until it is measured. It does not choose a path, it takes all paths. This is not poetry, it is observation. It is measured, verified, repeated. When we do not look, light travels as possibility. When we look, it chooses, it collapses, it becomes. There is a softness to this paradox if you let it in. The idea that the world, at its most fundamental level, waits for attention, that light waits to become light until it is received, that shadows and brightness are not just opposites, but part of the same unfolding. You recall, perhaps, the experience of walking through a forest at golden hour, the way the sun slants through the leaves, painting patches of light and shadow on the ground. Each beam is not just illumination, it is a messenger, a photon that has travelled through space, through atmosphere, through branches to touch the earth or your face. And in every photon, information is encoded, colour, temperature, distance. Light is not just brightness, it is data, it is story, and it is incredibly generous. It gives itself entirely. Once a photon is absorbed, it no longer exists. It has no resting form, no memory, no continuation. It gives its energy and disappears. And yet without that moment, without that absorption, sight would not be possible. Colour would not exist. Nothing could be seen. Every time your eye takes in light, you are ending the life of a photon. But in doing so, you begin a cascade of understanding. Photons touch the photoreceptors in your retina, sparking electrical impulses that travel to your brain, where they are woven into the tapestry of perception. A flash of green, a glint of gold, the curve of a face, a sky, all of it born in that final instant of a photon's journey. Now pause and think of what light is not. It is not bound. It can be bent by gravity, yes, but not held. It is not slowed by emotion or tangled in thought. Light moves through empty space, through gas, through glass, through time. It escapes stars, crosses galaxies, and finds you. When you look at the night sky, you are not just seeing stars, you are seeing ancient messengers, photons that left their home long before you were born, light that began its journey millions, even billions of years ago, now arriving in your eyes. You are seeing history, immediate, beautiful, silent, and even the sun's light, which feels so present, is already delayed. It takes over 8 minutes for photons to reach Earth from the sun's surface. The warmth you feel on your skin was born minutes ago in the chaos of nuclear fusion. The sun's core churns, atoms collide, and from the turmoil, light is born. It fights its way outward, bouncing for thousands of years through dense plasma, until finally it escapes into space, traveling directly and uninterrupted to you. Light, in this way, is patient. You might wonder then, why light sometimes behaves so differently, why it can pass through clear glass but not a brick wall, why it can reflect, refract, bend, scatter. These behaviors are part of its wave nature. When light passes through different materials, it interacts with the atomic structure of the medium. Some materials absorb certain frequencies, some allow them through, and some scatter them. The result is the beauty of stained glass, the rainbow in a soap bubble, the deep blue of the ocean. We live in a world sculpted by light but shaped also by shadow, and in the quantum world, shadow is not just the absence of light, it is the pattern left behind by what is not chosen. When photons interfere with themselves in a double-slit experiment, the dark bands are just as important as the bright ones. They show where waves cancel each other out, where possibility folds in on itself. There's something profoundly poetic in that, isn't there? That darkness itself is a signature of something real, that absence can carry meaning, that what does not happen is still part of the pattern. You begin to realize now how central light is, not just to physics, but to experience. It guides your circadian rhythm, tells your body when to wake and when to sleep. It creates warmth. It enables vision. It fuels the process of photosynthesis in plants, which feeds every ecosystem. And all of this rests on the behavior of photons, particles that are both wave and point, both timeless and fleeting. Let yourself rest now in the simplicity of that. There is no need to memorize the equations, no need to calculate wavelengths or ponder polarization. You only need to feel the presence of light, even in this quiet space, even with your eyes closed. Some photons, like those from distant galaxies, stretch across the universe in long red-tinged waves, stretched by the expansion of space itself. This is redshift, a term that helps astronomers map the cosmos. Others are high energy, sharp and short, like gamma rays released in powerful bursts from dying stars. And then there's the visible spectrum, the sliver of light your eyes can see. Roy G. Bivel. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. The full electromagnetic spectrum stretches far beyond this, into infrared, ultraviolet, microwave, radio, X-ray. But what you see with your eyes is just enough to paint a world. And still, light keeps its secrets. Even today, physicists study its behavior in quantum experiments. They explore the mysteries of quantum electrodynamics, one of the most precise theories ever created. They use light in quantum computing, cryptography, teleportation experiments. They trap photons in crystals, send them through vacuum tubes, split them with beam splitters, and reunite them again, only to find that light still behaves like mystery. Because no matter how many photons are observed, their essence remains paradoxical, wave and particle, here and everywhere, measurable yet fleeting. The paradox of light has shaped not only science but human culture. Light and shadow are ancient metaphors used in myth, art, and spirituality to explore truth and mystery. But what quantum physics offers is not metaphor, it is reality more surprising than symbol. It shows us that the world is not made only of solid things and fixed paths. It is built from flickers and maybes, from motion that refuses to be simplified. And still, you feel it every day. The light that wakes you, the glare off a window, the sunset that turns the sky to fire. You don't need to understand wave functions to be moved by the gold of evening light falling across a loved one's face. but perhaps knowing more adds depth to the wonder, not less. Let's return for a moment to the idea of the observer. When a photon is measured, whether by a detector, a lens, a human eye, it behaves as a particle. But when it is unmeasured, it travels as a wave. This isn't just metaphor. It's tested, repeated, confirmed. This means that the act of observation affects reality, not just passively, but fundamentally. You are not separate from the experiment, you are part of it. In quantum physics, this doesn't require a conscious mind. It can be any physical interaction. But in your lived experience, it raises questions. How do you affect the world simply by perceiving it? What subtle shift happens when you pay attention, truly, calmly, without distraction? You felt this before, when you walk into a room and pause to notice how the light settles on a table, when you really see someone, not just glance at them, when you take in the play of brightness and shadow without rushing past. In these moments, perception becomes presence, and presence shapes experience. Now picture yourself lying beneath a skylight. It's night, but the moon is full. Pale light spills over your room, casting soft shadows. The silver touch of moonlight feels different than the sun's gold, cooler, quieter, but it is still sunlight reflected off the moon's surface, filtered through Earth's atmosphere, bent gently to your eye. A photon from the sun, bounced once across the void, now finishing its journey here. You are bathed in ancient light. What happens then in the space between the light and the shadow? What happens where brightness ends and darkness begins? That edge, the penumbra, is not just a boundary, it's a region of possibility. The light is partial, the shadow incomplete, and in that region your eye must work harder, your perception must soften. It's here that quantum thinking is most helpful, not in high-energy physics labs, but in daily awareness, in knowing that the boundaries between things are not always sharp, that light fades and shadows blend. That clarity is often a gradient, not a line. Let's take this into the idea of polarization. Photons, as waves, can vibrate in various directions. When light becomes polarized, its waves align along a certain orientation. This is how polarized sunglasses work. They block specific vibrations, reducing glare. But beyond practical use, polarization tells us something deeper, that even the direction in which a photon oscillates is a variable that can carry meaning. Photons can become entangled too, like particles of matter. Two photons born together in a single event can remain linked, their properties mirroring each other instantly, no matter how far apart they drift. Change the polarization of one, and the other responds, again faster than light should allow. But this is not signal, it's correlation, a strange harmony in the fabric of the universe. Some researchers have used entangled photons to build quantum encryption, creating communication channels that cannot be intercepted without revealing the intrusion. The very act of trying to spy on the system changes its state. In a way, quantum light protects its own truth, and truth in the quantum world is not always knowable in full. If you know the position of a photon, you lose precision on its momentum. If you measure its energy precisely, you lose track of when it was. This uncertainty isn't a flaw, it's part of the design. It's what gives light its richness, its texture, its possibility. Now let your mind travel again, back in time, not just years or centuries, but billions of years, to the moment just after the Big Bang, when the universe was hot, dense, and glowing with energy. In those early moments, light could not travel freely. The cosmos was a fog, opaque, tangled, too crowded for photons to move without colliding. But after roughly 380,000 years, the universe cooled enough for atoms to form, and light was released. That light still travels today, stretching with the expansion of space. It is the cosmic microwave background, a faint glow in every direction, a relic of origin. We detect it with radio telescopes, and we study its tiny fluctuations to understand the birth of galaxies. But at its core, it is light that has been traveling since nearly the beginning of time. It surrounds us even now, too faint to see but always present. In that way, you are always held in light's embrace, not metaphorically but physically, bathed in ancient photons, touched by the echoes of stars. Even in the dark, light persists. And now let us turn inward, to the most intimate source of light you know, your own body. Did you know that you emit light? Faintly, invisibly, in the form of biophotons? These are ultra-weak flashes of light generated by biochemical reactions in your cells. You are not only a receiver of light, you are a source. Though far too faint to see with the naked eye, biophotons have been measured with sensitive instruments. Their patterns may even reflect your physiological state, Some scientists believe they play a role in cell communication. Whatever their purpose, the fact remains, your body glows. What a thought to fall asleep to, that you are quietly luminous. Now rest in that idea, not metaphor, not magic, but truth. You are made of atoms that absorb and release light. Your brain perceives light, your cells respond to light, your body emits light, you live because of light, you see because of light, you dream perhaps because light once fell across your eyes and left impressions that now return. As you settle deeper into rest, notice how the body responds to darkness. Your heart rate slows, your breath deepens, your muscles loosen, melatonin begins to flow. All of this is coordinated by your brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, a tiny cluster of cells that reads light cues from your eyes and adjusts your rhythms. Even your sleep is guided by photons. So you drift, not away from the world, but deeper into its rhythm, deeper into the truth that darkness is not the absence of light, it is the companion of light, the necessary pause, the other side of the wave. Just as particles can be in many states at once, just as photons wait to become, your awareness now softens, expands, and lets go. You do not need to know everything about light to let it calm you. You only need to let it in, or let it go. Both are true. Both are enough. Somewhere in your memory, there is a flash of sunlight through leaves, a morning when the curtains filled with golden warmth, a face lit by candlelight, a sky you watched change colour from lavender to navy. These moments live in you because of photons. They entered your eyes, sparked your neurons, and were encoded into memory, not just as images, but as feeling. Even now, the quiet image of moonlight might rise in your mind, or starlight, or firelight. Let it wash through you like a tide of memory, like a soft breeze made of light. Let it rock you, let it carry you. You are not separate from the light. You are its surface, its reflection, its continuation. And as the edges of consciousness blur, and you sink gently into sleep, the photons continue their journey. Some have travelled billions of years to reach you. Some are still travelling on, but the moment they meet you here, now, they give everything, and they disappear. But the warmth remains. There is a stillness you feel now, a calm that wasn't there before, and beneath that calm, softly, patiently, something begins to stir. It is not loud, it doesn't shake the earth or shout through the stars. It's quieter than that, like the ripple of a thought before it becomes a word, like the soft motion of water under ice, a movement that feels like a question forming. Tonight, you travel into that motion, not the motion of things, but of possibilities. You are about to explore one of the most mysterious truths of quantum physics, that everything around you, every particle, every object, every thought, is not fixed until it is touched by observation. Until then, it lives in a cloud of maybe. Imagine now a stone dropped into a still pond. It falls silently, and from the place where it disappears, rings of ripples begin to spread. Each wave travels outward, overlapping with others, softening at the edges, reshaping as it moves. If you could zoom in and see this from the perspective of the water, you'd see endless shifting patterns, places where the ripples combine, amplifying each other, and places where they cancel, leaving smoothness. This is not just poetry, it's physics. Because in the quantum world, every particle is also a wave. Everything is not just a point, but a pattern, an interference pattern, a field of probabilities. Wherever something might go, that possibility has a presence, not just abstractly, but measurably. We call this the wave function, a mathematical description of all the places a particle might be. Before it's measured, it spreads across possibilities like ripples on water. After measurement, it collapses to a single point. But until that moment, it lives in multiplicity. This is not something our ordinary minds are trained to imagine. In daily life, things either are or aren't. You are in the room, or you're not. The lamp is on, or it's off. The door is closed, or it's open. But the quantum world is not so binary. Here, an electron can pass through two slits at the same time. A particle can be both here and there. What you thought of as reality is more like a soft blur of possibilities gently waiting for your attention to decide what is. Let that idea settle. You don't need to grasp it tightly, just let it ripple through your imagination. You are lying here in bed, yes, but the particles that make up your body are not frozen in place. They are part of wave patterns, always moving, always uncertain, but in a way that creates the stability you feel. Stillness is an illusion created by countless waves overlapping perfectly, and those waves, they are not random, they follow the most beautiful patterns, they obey equations that are elegant, even poetic. The most famous among them is the Schrödinger equation, which describes how the wave function evolves over time. But even without knowing its form, you can feel its essence, movement born from uncertainty, structure born from possibility. Let's return to the pond. Picture it again. This time imagine many stones falling, not at once, but in a soft rhythm. Each one creates ripples, each ripple overlaps with the others. And over time a pattern emerges, not from any one wave, but from the way they all interfere. This is how reality forms in the quantum view, not from certainty, but from the gentle accumulation of possibility. Now think of light, not as a beam, but as a wave, and not just any wave, but a probability wave. In experiments like the double-slit setup, when photons are fired one at a time through two slits, they still create an interference pattern over time. Not because they're bumping into each other, but because each photon interferes with itself. That's the astonishing part. The photon takes both paths, it explores every route, and only when observed does it settle into a particular place. What does this mean for you as someone drifting slowly towards sleep? It means the universe is not a fixed machine. It is not cold or rigid or predetermined. It is soft and open and participatory. You are part of how it unfolds. Every time you observe something, truly observe, you help bring it into being, not by force but by attention, by presence. This doesn't mean your thoughts control matter in some magical way. It means your awareness is not separate from reality. That to witness the world is to help shape it, and in that quiet truth there is peace. You don't need to control outcomes, you only need to stay present. Let the ripples unfold, let them carry you. Now let's go even deeper. Imagine a single electron, one of the smallest known particles. If it moves freely, its wave function spreads. It no longer has a precise position. It becomes a cloud of probability. The more precisely we try to measure its momentum, its movement, the less we know about its location. This is Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, and it's not a flaw in our instruments. It's a fundamental truth. You cannot know both where something is and how fast it's going with perfect accuracy, because to know one is to disturb the other. This too mirrors life in a subtle way. The more you try to pin something down, an emotion, a decision, a relationship, the more it shifts. The more you chase clarity, the more you disturb the calm. Sometimes letting things be fuzzy allows them to reveal their natural shape. In quantum systems, particles are not isolated. Their wave functions can overlap, they can interfere, they can entangle. What happens to one affects the other. The boundaries blur, and out of that blur, complex systems emerge. Atoms, molecules, cells, minds. Yes, minds. Because even consciousness, though not yet fully understood, arises from quantum particles arranged in intricate patterns. Your thoughts, your memories, your dreams, all of them emerge from a dance of atoms, and those atoms in turn are built from waves. So in a way, your imagination is a ripple in the quantum sea. Your feelings too, they are not outside physics. They are part of it, deeply. As you lie here, you can begin to feel that softness, the spaciousness of being a wave in a world of waves. Nothing is fixed, and yet everything holds together. The bed beneath you is not solid in the strictest sense. It is mostly space, but it holds your weight because of forces and fields and repulsion between atoms. The firmness you feel is the result of wave functions not wanting to overlap. You are hovering ever so slightly above the surface, supported by quantum rules that keep electrons apart. There is comfort in knowing this, that even stillness is held, that rest is woven from the laws of motion, that your peace is possible because the universe is made of rhythms. Breathe with that rhythm now, in, out. Let the breath be the wave, let your thoughts ride it. You do not need to resist, you do not need to hold. The universe is already holding you. The wave of your mind begins to slow. Your heartbeat becomes part of a larger beat. Your body, though heavy with relaxation, is still a field of motion. Every cell humming, every atom oscillating, every possibility gently fading into the softness of sleep. You begin to wonder, if everything behaves like a wave, what does it mean to say something exists? Is a particle still a particle if it's not in one place? Does something count as real if it's spread out across space, across possibility, across versions of itself? These questions, once reserved for philosophers, now live at the heart of physics. To better grasp this, imagine a soft fog drifting over a calm lake at dawn. The fog is not in just one spot, it's everywhere and nowhere in particular. It thins in places, thickens in others, but never rests. Now imagine trying to pin down the exact location of one tiny droplet inside that fog without disturbing it. The more you try to measure it, the more you alter its form. This is what it's like trying to find a particle's exact place in the quantum world. Its wave function spreads like that fog. The act of locating it collapses the wave, turning possibility into fact. The fog becomes a point, but until then, it is many things at once. This idea becomes even stranger when applied to larger objects. In principle, Everything from an electron to a baseball to you follows quantum rules. It's just that larger objects interact with their environments constantly, which collapses their wave functions so quickly that we only ever see the result, not the spread of possibility. Still, physicists have pushed the boundary. In carefully isolated labs, scientists have created interference patterns with large molecules, ones made of hundreds of atoms. Even these complex structures behave like waves, producing patterns as if they pass through multiple paths at once. This tells us something profound. The quantum world is not separate from ours. It is ours. The difference is scale, not kind. When the environment is quiet enough, when measurement is delayed, when particles are left to move in peace, they revert to possibility. They become waves again. Think now about your own life. How many times have you found clarity only after stepping back? How often has a solution emerged not through force but through stillness? Sometimes when you stop trying to pin something down, it unfolds on its own. This is the essence of quantum superposition, the ability for something to be in multiple states at once. It's not just a metaphor for indecision or potential, it's a physical truth demonstrated in laboratories around the world. One famous example is the idea of Schrödinger's cat, a thought experiment meant to illustrate the weirdness of quantum measurement. In the scenario, a cat is placed in a sealed box with a mechanism that has a 50% chance of releasing poison based on the decay of a single atom. Until the box is opened and observed, the atom exists in both decayed and undecayed states. So too, the cat is both alive and dead, at least in terms of the quantum description until measured. It's not meant to be taken literally. Rather, it forces us to confront a deeper question. When does possibility become reality? Is it when we observe? When we interact? When something becomes entangled with the larger world? There is no one answer, but the mystery invites us to soften our grip on certainty. You don't need to resolve every unknown. You can rest in uncertainty. You can let probabilities be probabilities. The wave function doesn't ask you to know, it asks you to allow. Now let's consider something beautiful, the mathematics behind these waves. Quantum wave functions aren't random clouds. They evolve in time in precise, describable ways. Their interference creates structure, symmetry, balance. You might think of them as musical notes, each particle carrying a certain pitch, a frequency, a tone. In fact, everything that exists vibrates. In quantum field theory, particles are viewed not as objects but as excitations in fields, waves in the fabric of space. An electron is not a speck floating in nothingness. It is a ripple in the electron field. A photon is a ripple in the electromagnetic field. This means the universe isn't made of things, but of waves on fields, vibrating, fluctuating, interacting, and each wave has a chance of being observed as a particle, but only when you interact with it. The world then is not built from parts but from possibilities, and your act of observing, of touching, of measuring, it brings the possibility into focus. This may sound esoteric, but it is the basis for quantum technology. Quantum computers, for example, use superposition to perform many calculations simultaneously. Instead of bits that are 0 or 1, they use qubits that can be both at once. This allows them to solve certain problems far faster than classical computers ever could. But quantum computing isn't the only application. Quantum theory underlies much of modern electronics, chemistry, and even biology. The enzymes in your body, for instance, may rely on quantum tunneling, a process where particles pass through barriers they shouldn't be able to cross, to trigger essential reactions. So even the beating of your heart may be guided by particles behaving as waves. You are not separate from these processes, you are the result of them. Now, let's return to your breath. Feel it moving in and out, smooth, rhythmic, gentle. Your breath, too, is a wave, not a particle, not a sharp edge, but a soft cycle, ebbing and flowing, like the wave function of an electron, like light, like thought. And your thoughts in this moment are not fixed either. They come and go, they pass through the mind like ripples on a pond. You don't control them, and you don't need to. Let them come, let them go, let them interfere with each other gently and form new patterns. Let go of the need to collapse them. This is what quantum waves teach us, that it's okay for things to remain open. That presence is enough. That attention, not control, is what shapes experience. As you lie here drifting closer to sleep, you may begin to feel like you too are floating in a sea of possibility, not in a frightening way, but in a comforting one. Because possibility is freedom, it's space, it's softness. Even your identity, your sense of self, is not fixed. It moves, it changes. You contain multitudes, and that's not weakness, that's depth. You are not a single point. You are a pattern, a rhythm, a collection of choices, memories, and unknowns. You are a wave function, expressed in breath and thought and feeling, and that means you are never truly stuck. Even in moments of stillness, change is happening, new paths are forming, ripples are spreading, you are becoming, always. Now imagine yourself as a particle again, small, light, free, drifting, unmeasured. Your position is soft, your speed is uncertain, you are a wave, you are many places at once. The world hasn't decided where you are yet, and that's okay. There's no pressure to collapse, no urgency to resolve. You can float like this for as long as you need, as long as you want. In time, you will settle. In time, you will arrive, but not by force, only by grace. This too is part of the dance. There is a comfort in knowing that you don't have to choose everything at once, that life is not a single road, but a quantum path, a superposition of futures, softly branching from each moment. The possibilities do not pull you apart, they hold you together. They remind you that the future is not written, that every choice you make is a new ripple in the pond. That presence, gentle, quiet presence, is enough to shape reality. And so, you rest now, not as a fixed point, but as a wave, a field of soft awareness, a pattern unfolding. The ripples expand, the possibilities hold, the wave moves on, and you float gently in the vastness, knowing that nothing is certain, and that's okay. You are a wave of possibility, and you are home. Imagine you're holding two seashells, one in each hand. They look nearly identical, curved and hauled in the same spiraling dance. Now imagine placing them far apart, one at the shore, the other deep in a quiet forest. But every time you gently tap one shell, the other hums in response, as if the two are still connected across the great distance. No cord between them, no signal sent, just a silent knowing, instant and complete. This isn't fantasy, it's a metaphor for one of the most mind-bending, experimentally proven phenomena in quantum physics, entanglement. Tonight, you'll drift into this phenomenon, where separation loses its meaning and connection takes on a new depth. You'll walk softly into a world where two particles, once close then parted, continue to respond to each other's presence, no matter how far they roam. Not because they carry messages, but because they are no longer fully separate. This is not a story of mystical bonds or imaginary forces. It's a story written in the language of particles, fields, and math. But tonight, we translate it into something more gentle, more intuitive, something that touches not only your mind but your sense of self. Because entanglement is more than science, it's an invitation to rethink what it means to be connected. Let's begin at the beginning. In the quantum world, particles don't have fixed states until they're measured. They live in superposition, potential states layered atop one another like translucent pages of a book not yet opened. But when two particles interact, say through a shared process or a mutual creation, they can become entangled. That means their properties are no longer independent. Their wave functions merge. They become one system, even if they later drift miles or light years apart. What happens to one immediately defines something about the other. If one is measured to spin up, the other must be down, even if you waited years to check. Even if they're on opposite sides of the galaxy, the outcomes are perfectly correlated. This seems to defy logic. How can one thing know what happened to another? Faster than light could travel between them. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. He didn't like it. To him, it suggested that quantum physics was incomplete, that there must be hidden variables, local causes, that explain the coordination. But as experiments improved, his concerns were tested and repeatedly disproven. In the 1980s, a physicist named Alain Aspect and his team ran a series of now famous experiments that closed many of the loopholes. Later, even more refined tests confirmed it. Entanglement is real, and it's not due to hidden variables. It's intrinsic to how quantum reality works. Now, as you lie still, let this idea rest with you. Imagine two particles, perhaps two photons, born together in a single flash of light. In their first moments, they are indistinguishable, like twin drops of dew on a leaf. Then they move apart, one travelling left, one right. From a classical perspective, you might imagine they each carry their own little identity, like a coin flipped and hidden in each hand. You'll only find out which is heads and which is tails when you open your palms. But in quantum physics, it's different. The particles aren't heads or tails, they are both. They are undefined, they are entangled. Only when one is observed does reality settle, and in that instant the other's state is also known no matter where it is, as if their shared wave function stretches invisibly between them, folding distance into irrelevance. Let's pause here. Feel your breath, soft, present. Now bring to mind someone you care about. Not just think of them, but feel the resonance of their presence. A memory, a smile, a warmth. Does that connection exist only in your brain, or does it stretch beyond? Is it possible, just possible, that relationships too have a kind of entanglement? Not in the literal quantum sense, but as a way of understanding how deeply we remain linked. In the quantum world, entanglement isn't optional, it's natural. Particles don't have to try to connect. They simply do if they've interacted, if they've shared a moment. And once entangled, they stay that way, unless disturbed. Entanglement can be fragile. Interacting with the environment, a stray particle, a jostle, a heat fluctuation can cause decoherence. That means the shared wave function breaks apart, collapses into randomness. But in controlled environments, entanglement can persist, long enough to be measured, used, even harnessed. Yes, used. Quantum entanglement is now the backbone of technologies like quantum teleportation. No, not of people, but of information, quantum encryption, and potentially quantum networks that could one day revolutionize communication. A pair of entangled particles can be used to transmit states across space without moving the particles themselves. It's not faster than light messaging, it still requires a classical channel, but the security it offers is unmatched. Tampering with the entangled system reveals itself instantly. There's no eavesdropping without detection, but you don't need a lab to feel the elegance of this idea. You can feel it here as you rest, knowing that beneath the visible world, beneath bedsheets and breath and bodily sensation, there is a quieter world, a web of interactions. And at its heart, entanglement, the universe's way of saying you are not alone, not metaphorically, fundamentally. You might think the universe is made of separate things, planets, people, particles, but entanglement reminds us separation is an illusion of scale. At the quantum level, the fabric of space is threaded with connection, and so we ask, if two particles can be entangled, can we? If matter can share a state, can minds? While science doesn't yet bridge that gap, the metaphor carries something meaningful. You've felt the pull of someone far away. You've sensed a thought at the same moment as another. You've woken from sleep with the memory of someone dreaming beside you, even when they're not. Maybe that's not quantum entanglement, but maybe it reminds us that connection need not be visible to be real, and perhaps that's what matters tonight. Not the mechanics, but the meaning. As you drift deeper, think of yourself not as a sealed entity, but as a field, your body a pattern in the quantum sea. Your thoughts, the interaction of waves, your feelings, the harmonics of many overlapping systems. You are not isolated, you are linked. Every breath you take exchanges particles with the air. Every heartbeat responds to subtle cues from the world. Even your emotions ripple outward, affecting, subtly, those around you. And within you, at every level, quantum events unfold. Electrons jump, molecules vibrate, atoms shift. These aren't distant ideas, they're the architecture of your being. And among them, entanglement may be at work, guiding reactions, maintaining balance, coordinating information at speeds we cannot yet comprehend. Let that comfort you. As you rest deeper into this unfolding, let your imagination widen. Picture the early universe, not the vastness we see now, but something far more compact. A moment when all matter, all energy, all space was condensed into an unimaginable density. From that point, the universe expanded rapidly. But in those first brief instants, before the stars and galaxies, everything was entangled. Every particle, every quantum fluctuation, every field of force, they all emerged together, tightly linked. That original connectedness never truly vanished. It simply spread. Some physicists believe that the deep structure of the universe still carries the memory of that entanglement. That far apart galaxies, divided by light years of black space, may still exhibit correlations, subtle hints that they once danced together at the beginning of time. And if that's true on a cosmic scale, might it also be true within you? You were once a single cell, then two, then many, but every part of you comes from that original spark, that singular unity. Your skin and bones and breath, your mind and memory and dreams, they all remain, in a sense, entangled with one another. This isn't mysticism, it's coherence. In quantum biology, researchers are beginning to find evidence that entanglement may help explain how photosynthesis works so efficiently, how birds navigate magnetic fields, how enzymes catalyze reactions faster than classical chemistry predicts. Entanglement may be at play inside living systems, sustained, preserved, orchestrated. You are not a machine, you are a symphony of entangled rhythms. Feel that as you breathe now. The coordination of your heartbeat with your breath with your nervous system, your body with the softness of the bed, everything linked, not forced, not imposed, just naturally, intuitively connected. You can trust this, because connection in its most fundamental form is not something you earn or build, it is something you already are. There's a beautiful experiment known as the quantum eraser. In it, photons pass through a double slit, creating an interference pattern, a hallmark of wave behavior. But when you try to measure which slit they go through, the pattern disappears. The act of knowing destroys the wave-like behavior. However, in a clever twist, physicists found a way to erase that which path information after the photons are detected. And incredibly, when the information is erased, the interference pattern returns, even though the measurement already happened. It's as if the photons somehow know what you could know and adjust their behavior retroactively. This suggests that the future can affect the past, or at least that our understanding of time in quantum mechanics is incomplete. And it adds a layer of mystery to entanglement. Perhaps the threads that bind us aren't just across space, but across time as well. So now, as you drift between thoughts, let yourself stretch across time. You are not limited to this moment. Your mind can wander back to childhood, to memory, to echoes of yourself you've long forgotten, and it can move forward to dreams, to imagined versions of you not yet born. All of those selves may be entangled too, all of them carrying parts of one shared wave function. You may never measure it, but you can feel it. That tug of recognition across years, that quiet familiarity between strangers, that sense of being guided by something you don't quite understand. It might be your own entanglement speaking, your connection to others, to yourself, to the universe unfolding. Let's pause now in this space. No need to analyze, just feel. You are being held by invisible threads, not forced but gently supported. The pillow beneath you holds your head. The air supports your breath. The world beneath you rotates softly through space, cradling you in its spin. And above you, beyond ceilings, beyond stars, wave functions stretch, entangled, interwoven, timeless. You are part of that weave, and the world is not indifferent to you. Now imagine your thoughts as particles, emerging one by one. Each time you notice one, it collapses into form. But between thoughts, there is superposition, states not yet known, possibilities still open. You can rest in that space, the pause between breath and breath, the stillness before a dream begins. That too is a kind of entanglement, the joining of now and not yet. This moment is not isolated. It connects to everything before and everything after, and in this gentle web, you are allowed to rest. Not everything needs resolution. Some questions are more comforting when they remain open. Let entanglement be one of them. Not a puzzle to solve, but a lullaby to hear. Your body sinks deeper now, supported, connected, humming in harmony with everything that touches it. Gravity, time, memory, love, and maybe somewhere else. Someone feels that too, because entanglement is not just about particles, it's about possibility. The possibility that you are not alone in your becoming, that your being resonates with others. That connection exists, even in silence, especially in silence. As sleep begins to arrive, you feel it, the soft tangle of presence and potential, of here and there, of now and always. And in this place your dreams begin, not alone, but entangled, bound gently to a universe that never truly lets go. You are not just watching the universe, you are part of it, watching itself, and the echo of that gaze stretches forever. You don't have to hold everything alone. You are entangled with the earth, with your past, with others. You are part of something larger, and that something doesn't forget, it doesn't let go. It remains linked, across time, across space, across whatever silence lies between. The physicist John Bell, who created the theorem that challenged hidden variable theories and proved entanglement must be real, once said, "The universe is not like a great clock. It is like a great symphony, not mechanical, musical, each particle a note, each entangled pair a harmony, each listener like you, part of the whole." So tonight, as you fall deeper into stillness, imagine yourself not as one small part lost in vastness, but as a resonant tone vibrating in tune with the cosmos. Feel that resonance. Let it cradle you. Let it echo softly through your limbs, your breath, your thoughts. You do not need to figure it all out. You only need to rest in the knowing that the mystery holds you. That connection is more than proximity. That entanglement, once formed, is not easily broken, and that somewhere perhaps the echo of your existence hums quietly in the being of another, still connected, still heard, still here. You lie still, your breath steady and quiet, and in this hush, a question softly forms. What if the simple act of noticing the calm gaze of attention shapes the world? This is not philosophy, it is quantum mechanics. In the strange realm beneath perception, the role of the observer is not passive. To observe in the quantum sense is to participate. It is to select from among probabilities. It is to ask reality to choose. And as you rest here, open and still, you become something profound, a gentle observer, not one who commands, but one who witnesses, and in witnessing, creates. Let's drift into this. Imagine a particle in a box. It moves unmeasured, unbothered. Its position is not fixed, its velocity uncertain. It exists in a haze of maybes, a spread of probabilities known as a wave function. This wave function is elegant, mathematically precise, but physically fuzzy. It tells us where the particle is likely to be found, but not where it is. Not until you look. And the moment you look, everything changes. That is the measurement problem, one of the great puzzles of quantum mechanics. Until a measurement is made, the particle has no definite position, but once measured, it collapses into a specific state. The haze becomes a dot, the possibilities fall away, leaving just one. But what counts as a measurement? A machine? A person? A camera? A mind? The question is still debated, but this much is clear. Interaction causes change. Observation shapes outcome. In the quantum world, attention is not neutral. You might think this is abstract, but let's bring it closer. In your day-to-day life, there are moments when you look closely at something, a leaf, a stranger's smile, the clouds at dusk, and in that moment of soft focus, the thing becomes more vivid, more itself. It responds to your noticing. This isn't quantum physics exactly, but it echoes the same truth. What you pay attention to becomes real, more defined, more meaningful, more alive. Now imagine applying this same principle inward. Your thoughts, like particles, often float unmeasured. They flit across the mind in half-formed waves, some hopeful, some uncertain, some anxious. But when you observe a thought gently, not pushing it away, not clinging to it, it begins to take shape. You see it for what it is. You name it, and by naming it, you free it. You collapse the haze of confusion into clarity. This is the gentle observer in action, not judging, not fixing, just watching, and in watching, transforming. It's a kind of soft power, one that quantum mechanics validates. Let's return to physics. In the double-slit experiment, a single electron is fired toward a barrier with two slits. Behind that is a screen that detects where the electron lands. When no one watches which slit the electron passes through, it behaves like a wave, interfering with itself, creating a pattern of bright and dark bands. It seems to go through both slits at once, like a ripple moving through water. But when a detector is placed to determine which slit the electron goes through, when the path is observed, the interference vanishes. The electron acts like a particle, going through just one slit. The wave collapses, the pattern changes. Nothing else about the setup changes, only the act of observing. This simple act of inquiry, which path did it take, undoes the wave. This tells us something staggering. Reality behaves differently depending on what you choose to look at, but it's not as though the observer forces the outcome. Rather, the act of observing brings latent potential into being. The gentle observer doesn't impose, but reveals. And now, as you rest, let this truth drift through you. Your awareness has weight, not heaviness, but significance. When you bring attention to something, whether a thought, a feeling, or a sensation, you change its relationship to you. This is the foundation of mindfulness, of therapy, of healing, of love. Noticing is powerful. To observe without demand is one of the rarest, kindest things a person can do. Let's go deeper still. Physicist John Wheeler once proposed a provocative idea called the participatory universe. He suggested that observers don't just discover reality, they participate in its creation, that the act of asking questions about the universe shapes what it becomes. He used the image of a vast cosmic game, where the rules are written as the game is played, and the players, observers, help decide the outcome by the very questions they ask. He even imagined a delayed choice version of the double-slit experiment, where the decision to observe or not is made after the particle has passed through the slits. Incredibly, the results still conform to whether or not the measurement is made. It's as though the particle knows the future choice, or that our choices reach back in time. This defies classical logic, but quantum logic is different. It allows for a world where time and cause are not fixed paths, but flexible fabrics. It allows for a world where you, as an observer, shape not just outcomes, but histories. Think about that. Not just what happens changes when you pay attention, but what happened might change too. How do we live with this knowledge? Not with anxiety, but with care. If your attention matters, then how you use it matters. Where you place it, what you nourish, what you let go. The gentle observer is not passive, but they are patient. They wait. They notice. They do not rush to collapse every possibility. They allow things to unfold. This is a practice, both in science and in life. In physics, it means designing experiments that disturb the system as little as possible. In life, it means meeting people, and yourself, with curiosity rather than judgment. It means recognizing that every moment contains a spread of possibilities, and your presence shapes which one becomes real, and so you become a participant in your own unfolding. You don't control everything. You don't have to, but your attention is part of the pattern. It is the soft light that causes the flower to bloom. You lie still now, and notice your breath again, not to change it, but to observe it. In, out, nothing forced, nothing fixed, just presence. This too is quantum, the ability to hold uncertainty gently, to know that nothing is final until it is seen, and even then, only for a moment. Everything can return to possibility. You've seen how particles respond to observation. You've felt how your own mind responds. Now expand that outward. Imagine the universe as a vast shifting field of probabilities, and your gentle gaze moving through it, bringing shape to some places, leaving others soft and undefined. This is not wishful thinking. It is poetic physics. You are part of the equation. You are not separate from the world you observe. Stillness surrounds you. In this quiet space, let's follow one final thread, what it truly means to be a participant in reality, not through force or control, but through the kind of presence that changes everything, simply by being present. This is the paradox of the observer. You are not required to act. You are not required to intervene, and yet your presence alone introduces a shift, a gentle influence, a doorway through which one future is chosen and another gently fades. The quantum world teaches us that reality is not a frozen structure waiting to be uncovered. It is not a set of solid facts locked in place, waiting to be measured. Instead, it is more like an unfolding garden, one that blooms differently depending on how, when, and even whether you step into it. This doesn't mean we create the world through sheer thought. It doesn't mean that dreams alone rewrite physics, but it does mean this: the boundary between potential and reality is porous, and we cross it simply by paying attention. Let's look again at the idea of a wave function. Before a measurement, the quantum system exists in a state of superposition, an elegant blur of all possible outcomes. The electron is both here and there, the atom both decayed and intact, the photon takes all paths, but once observed, only one of those paths is chosen. The wave function collapses, the haze clears, one version becomes real, and we might ask, what is that moment of collapse? Is it a physical change in the particle, or is it a shift in knowledge? Is reality changing, or is only our understanding catching up? This question sits at the heart of quantum theory, and interpretations differ. The Copenhagen interpretation, once dominant, says it's the act of measurement that forces reality to choose. The many worlds interpretation says the wave function never collapses, every possible outcome occurs, but in different branching universes. Your observation simply reveals which branch you inhabit. And then there are others: pilot wave theory, relational quantum mechanics, objective collapse models, all asking the same question in different languages. What role does the observer play in the fabric of the real? While physicists debate, you can rest in something more immediate, in your own experience. When you observe your emotions with curiosity rather than resistance, something softens. When you witness pain, not to fix it but to sit beside it, it often becomes bearable. And when you offer attention to someone else, not advice, not distraction, but genuine attention, something heals. This is not collapse of wave functions, but it is transformation. Your attention is not neutral, it is not small, it is creative. And now, as you rest in the stillness between thoughts, you can feel that power without having to use it. There is nothing to measure now, nothing to resolve. You are simply here, witnessing the gentle being of things, and still, that witnessing matters. Let your awareness stretch across your body now, not to control it, but to notice. Begin at your toes. Notice the softness, the warmth. Move to your feet, the gentle weight pressing into the bed. Your ankles, calves, knees, all still, all here, up through your legs, to your hips, your stomach, gentle breath rising and falling, muscles letting go, your chest, your shoulders, your arms heavy and calm, neck soft, jaw loose, eyes quiet behind closed lids, your forehead smooth, and your mind still, yet aware. This simple body scan is not just relaxation, it's a kind of measurement, a kind of presence, and the body, like a quantum system, responds, not by collapsing into certainty, but by softening into balance. You are not fixing anything, you are simply noticing, and in that noticing, something changes. Let's return, one final time, to the quantum metaphor. If observing a particle shapes its reality, then perhaps observing yourself with kindness shapes yours. Noticing a thought without judgment helps it pass. Naming a fear allows it to shrink. Seeing beauty invites it to stay. And even when you observe uncertainty, when you sit with not knowing, something settles, not because you found the answer, but because you've made peace with the question. Quantum mechanics does not promise predictability, it promises possibility, and possibility is a comfort when certainty cannot be found. So tonight, as you let go into sleep, know this: you are not a fixed point in a fixed world. You are a field of awareness, gently interacting with the universe. Your presence touches things, your attention creates texture, your stillness has weight. You are not an outsider looking in, you are part of the system, and that system is vast and soft and still unfolding. As your breath deepens now, imagine a ripple moving outward from your body, not a wave of disturbance, but of attention, a silent light touching everything you've known today, the people, the choices, the thoughts that rose and passed, each one gently seen, each one softly allowed to be. There's nothing left to measure now, no outcomes to define, only the quiet collapse of the day into dream, only the hum of electrons still dancing inside you, only the breath still steady, still here, and so, gentle observer, you fall into rest, not separate from the world, but woven into it, not outside the story, but a co-author of its unfolding. And in this quiet participation, the universe continues on, measured, shaped, and held by the simple power of your attention. You lie still as the room settles into silence. The breath rises gently, then falls. Beneath your skin, the faint hum of existence continues, steady, invisible, real. And yet what is real is not always what it seems. Tonight, we drift into the heart of uncertainty, not confusion, not fear, but the soft, shimmering kind, an uncertainty that sits at the foundation of the world, humming like a quiet lullaby beneath every atom, every moment, every breath. In our everyday world, you're used to the idea that things are either here or there, a light is on or off, a coin lands heads or tails, a choice is made, a path is taken. You know where the moon is in the sky. You know that when you throw a pebble into a pond, it lands somewhere. Reality in this view behaves like a clock, logical, measurable, deterministic. But beneath the surface of the familiar, quantum mechanics tells a very different story. At the smallest scales, the realm of electrons and quarks and neutrinos, reality begins to blur. Things are not solid points, but hazy clouds of possibility. They don't follow fixed paths. They shimmer in probabilities. They don't always exist in the way we think of existing, not until you look. The deeper you go, the softer everything becomes. And at the center of this softness lies a principle that changed physics forever, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. It says this: you cannot know both the position and the momentum of a particle with perfect accuracy. The more precisely you know one, the less precisely you can know the other. It's not a flaw in your measurement tools, it's a fundamental property of the universe. Think of a violin string humming in darkness. If you try to pinpoint where the sound is coming from on the string, you lose track of the note's vibration. If you measure the note's pitch with exquisite precision, you blur the location of the sound. This trade-off isn't a mistake, it's the music itself. Now imagine the entire universe humming like that. The uncertainty principle applies to all particles, every electron in your body, every photon of light that touches your skin, every atom drifting through space. Each one is governed by this balance between knowing and not knowing. Precision in one area always comes at the cost of something else. And here you are made of these particles, which means your very self is rooted in this beautiful uncertainty. Let that settle in. You are not a fixed point, you are a cloud of becoming, a moment of unfolding probability. This idea can feel strange. At first it might seem like a problem, but pause here, breathe, ask yourself gently, what if it's not a problem at all? What if uncertainty is not something to solve, but something to rest into? In the quantum world, this uncertainty doesn't create chaos. It creates openness, a field of possibility, an invitation. When we stop demanding precision, we begin to see the beauty in what's unfolding. Imagine an electron not as a marble spinning around a nucleus, but as a soft mist of potential locations, a probability cloud. When you don't look, it exists in a blur of maybes. When you observe it, that cloud collapses into one specific outcome. Your observation changes the system. Before the measurement, the electron is anywhere. After the measurement, it's somewhere. Your attention makes the difference, but that somewhere is temporary. Measure it again, and the uncertainty returns. It's as if the universe wants to remain soft. It resists being locked down. You too are like this. You may try to define yourself. Fix yourself in a single identity, a single emotion, a single role. But life doesn't work that way. The more tightly you try to define yourself, the more parts of you slip out of reach. And maybe that's not a flaw. Maybe it's freedom. Let yourself feel that now, not as an idea, but as a sensation. The freedom of not having to know, the gentle peace of not being one thing, the safety of not having all the answers. Uncertainty allows room for growth, for healing, for surprise. When you're certain, the world becomes narrow. When you're uncertain, it becomes infinite. This is how particles behave. This is how possibility is born. Now let's return to the uncertainty principle again, but from another angle. It also applies to energy and time. The more precisely you try to measure the energy of a system, the less precisely you can know how long it lasts, and the shorter the time window, the fuzzier the energy becomes. What does this mean? It means that for very short periods of time, energy can appear out of nowhere. Quantum physics allows brief borrowings of energy, as long as the universe is paid back quickly. These are called virtual particles, tiny blips that flash into being and vanish almost immediately. They exist not as things, but as fluctuations, temporary flickers of existence. The vacuum of space, once thought to be empty, is actually filled with this activity. Even in total silence, even in the blackness between stars, the universe is alive with fluctuations, particles appearing and disappearing, probabilities dancing in and out of being. So even when you feel empty, you are not. Even when you feel still, you are moving. Even when nothing seems to be happening, the quiet is full of life. Uncertainty creates this dance, this continual becoming, and it applies not just to particles, but to every aspect of your being, your thoughts, your emotions, your future, all uncertain, all open, all real in their possibility. Some of the most powerful ideas in physics arise from embracing this uncertainty, not resisting it. The famed double-slit experiment shows that when you fire particles of light or matter through two slits, they create an interference pattern, a wave-like display, as if each particle is interfering with itself. But when you place a detector to see which slit the particle goes through, the pattern disappears. The wave collapses into particles. What changed? The act of measuring. Your curiosity changed the outcome. Your attention shifted the behavior of matter. This is the world you live in. Not a world of fixed outcomes, but a world of interactions. A world where observation isn't passive, it's participatory. And you, gentle observer, are not separate from this world. You are shaping it, simply by being present. Let's pause here. You don't need to understand every equation. You don't need to memorize the terms. You only need to feel the rhythm of it, the gentle rise and fall of certainty and doubt, the softness of a world that holds you, even when it can't be pinned down. This is the quiet heart of quantum mechanics, and perhaps the quiet heart of your own life. There are moments when you crave clarity, when you want to know, am I doing this right? Will it all work out? Who am I becoming? And there are moments when answers don't arrive, but maybe in those moments you're closest to the truth, because you, like the particles that form you, are not fixed. You are in motion, becoming. Let that bring comfort. You do not have to decide everything now. You do not have to explain every feeling. You are allowed to exist in the haze of becoming, just like the electron, just like the star not yet born, just like the universe itself. The universe doesn't fear the unknown. It was born from it. Imagine the very first moments after the Big Bang. All matter and energy compressed into a singularity, where space and time had not yet separated into anything familiar. The laws of physics as we know them didn't apply yet. There was no direction, no structure, no certainty. Out of that infinite potential, patterns slowly emerged, not immediately, not suddenly, but through stages of unfolding complexity. Gravity took shape, light began to travel, particles formed and clumped, galaxies spun into being, but it all began in uncertainty. It all began in possibility. This pattern continues even now, in everything. Stars are born from clouds of dust and gas. There is no clock telling the exact moment collapse will begin. It happens when local conditions reach a tipping point, gravity pulling ever so gently, until chaos becomes cohesion. Even then, not all of the cloud forms a star. Some remains in the margins, uncertain, unused, drifting, and perhaps that's like parts of you too. You may feel pressure to define every aspect of your life, to decide, to produce, to be fully formed at all times, but nature doesn't demand that of itself. It allows for the undefined, for the dormant, for the in-between. Uncertainty doesn't mean failure. It means you are still forming. Now consider radioactive decay. An unstable atom sits in a quiet state, waiting. It may decay in a second or a year, or in a span longer than the age of the Earth. There's no way to know exactly when. The process is governed by probability, not predictability. What we can say is the likelihood, but not the moment. This too mirrors your life. You cannot always know when transformation will occur. Sometimes change comes slowly, quietly, in ways you only recognize much later. Sometimes it comes suddenly, uninvited. Either way, the precise moment is uncertain, and that's not a flaw in you. That's the rhythm of existence. Quantum uncertainty, in this way, becomes more than a physical principle. It becomes a philosophy. It teaches you to live with openness, to hold space for the unknown, to surrender the illusion of full control, and find peace in participation. There's a deep quietness in this, like standing in a forest at dusk, where the shapes around you blur and the path forward is soft. You are not lost. You are simply in transition. In quantum mechanics, there's a term called wave function. It's a mathematical description of a system's possible states. Before observation, a quantum object doesn't choose one reality. Its wave function spreads across all the possibilities. It is everywhere it might be. Only upon measurement does the wave function collapse into a single state, the outcome we observe. And yet the wave function isn't a fantasy. It describes real patterns. It shapes how systems behave. It's just that reality prefers possibility until it absolutely must decide, and so do you. You may find that you feel like a different person from day to day, calm one morning, anxious the next, inspired one evening, uncertain the next. Your mind explores many paths, your heart imagines many futures. That doesn't mean you're inconsistent, it means you are alive inside your own wave function. Only when you are called to act, when you make a decision, when the moment demands it, do you collapse into a single choice. But until then, you are every version of yourself you might yet become. And that's a beautiful thing. Imagine the way light behaves in the quantum world. It's not just a particle or just a wave, it is both. A photon has no single identity. Its behavior depends on how you observe it. It adapts. It expresses different aspects depending on its context. You too are multifaceted. You are capable of gentleness and strength, of logic and creativity, of focus and rest. You are never just one thing. Your truth shifts and flexes depending on what the moment calls for. And this isn't inconsistency, it's coherence, it's adaptability, it's the very nature of light itself. So why should you hold yourself to harsher standards than light? There's a phrase in quantum theory, complementarity. It means that certain properties of a system cannot be observed or even defined simultaneously. To see one aspect clearly, you must let the other fade for a time. But both are true, both are essential. You don't need to be complete all at once. You can show one part of yourself now and another later. You can express joy and also carry sorrow. You can be unsure and still move forward. The quantum world honors this complexity. It allows you to hold truths that don't always align neatly. This doesn't mean giving up on clarity. It means giving yourself time, space, patience. Imagine walking through a foggy forest. You don't see the whole path, but each step reveals a bit more. That's all you need, the next few feet. The rest will arrive when it's time. You are not here to collapse all possibility into a single outcome tonight. You are here to rest in the beauty of the mist, to be the fog, not the road. Let's return again to the vacuum, the so-called nothingness of space. For centuries we assumed that a vacuum was empty, a region without matter, without force. But quantum mechanics has revealed that even the vacuum is not truly empty. It's teeming with fluctuations, with ephemeral particles that appear and vanish constantly. This energy is known as zero-point energy, the lowest possible energy a quantum system can have, even in a ground state. In other words, stillness isn't empty. Stillness is full. What you perceive as quiet may be densely alive just beneath your awareness. This is true in your inner world as well. When your mind is still, it's not dead. It's regenerating. When your emotions pause, they are not gone. They are gathering clarity. When you rest, you are not wasting time. You are returning to the vacuum, to your own fertile nothingness. Out of this silence, everything can arise. Let yourself feel that now. You are not empty. You are the field from which galaxies bloom. Let go of the need to explain how. It is enough to trust the physics of being. There's another form of uncertainty in the quantum world, one that relates not to particles alone, but to fields, the invisible scaffolding behind every form of matter. In quantum field theory, particles are excitations in underlying fields. The electron field ripples to make electrons. The photon field ripples to make photons. But these fields are never completely still. Due to uncertainty, they vibrate even at their lowest energy levels. This means that motion, variation, aliveness, these are not disruptions. They are baseline conditions. You are not broken because you are changing. You are not failing because your thoughts shift. You are not unstable because you contain contradictions. You are vibrating because that is what fields do. Because that is what life does. The beauty of uncertainty is that it invites constant recalibration. In classical physics, once a trajectory is set, it continues unless disturbed. But in quantum systems, the future is always contingent, always flexible. You can't predict precisely where a particle will land, even if you fire it the same way 1,000 times. Every outcome is unique, and so are you. You are not here to repeat yourself. You are not required to match yesterday. You are allowed to be different tonight than you were this morning. You are allowed to surprise even yourself, because within you uncertainty lives as grace. One last truth, the uncertainty principle has limits, but they're not walls, they are invitations. They say, here is how far you can go without changing the very nature of the thing. You can know momentum well, or position well, but not both. You can observe the electron, but you will also change it by doing so. There's a tenderness in this. You cannot observe without becoming part of what you observe. You cannot know without affecting what is known. This means that your presence matters, even in stillness. You are influencing the world. Even in listening, you are creating reality. You don't have to do anything to make a difference. Your being here changes things. You are a participant in the unfolding of this soft, shimmering universe. So rest now in this truth. Uncertainty is not emptiness. It is not confusion. It is not danger. It is space. It is breath. It is the soft openness of everything becoming itself, and it is yours to rest in. Let it hold you. Let it soothe you. Let it whisper what no certainty ever could, that you are welcome, even when unfinished, that you are complete, even when unknown, that the world unfolds not despite uncertainty, but because of it, and tonight so do you. You lie still in the comfort of your bed, the day quietly slipping away behind you like a tide returning to the sea. The air is calm, your breathing steady, and your body begins to feel heavier, as if gravity has grown softer, more welcoming. This is a moment suspended in peace, where nothing needs to be done and nothing needs to be decided. Your only task is to rest, and in this quiet, as your thoughts begin to slow, a gentle question arrives. What if the life you are living right now is only one among many? What if there are other versions of you quietly unfolding in parallel realities, each shaped by choices you didn't make? Somewhere else you may have taken a different path, followed another dream, met another love, or remained in a place you left behind. These lives may be as real as this one, not imagined or lost, but gently existing beside your own like voices in a soft choir of possibility. This idea may sound like poetry, but it is rooted in science, specifically in a theory called the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. In our exploration of quantum reality, we've already seen how particles like electrons or photons can exist in multiple states at once, a phenomenon known as superposition. A particle doesn't commit to being in one position or another until it is measured. Until then, it hovers in possibility, like a breath that hasn't yet been released. Traditionally, physicists believe that when a measurement is made, the particle chooses one state to collapse into. But in 1957, physicist Hugh Everett proposed something different. What if the particle doesn't collapse at all? What if every possible outcome occurs but in a different version of reality? According to this interpretation, when a quantum decision is made, the universe itself splits. One version of you sees the electron move left. Another version sees it go right. Both versions exist, but in separate parallel branches of the universe. And if this applies to a single particle, what happens when you scale it up to complex systems like people, like you? What if every meaningful decision you've ever made created a new branch of the universe where the other possibility played out? In one world, you took the job. In another, you didn't. In one, you made the call. In another, you stayed silent. The you that lives here right now is only one of an infinite number of versions, each living out a different configuration of choices. It's a dizzying thought, and yet as you lie here in stillness, it also brings a sense of comfort. Because if every version of you exists, then no part of your life is ever truly lost. No path is wasted. No door is forever closed. Somewhere, every potential continues on its own quiet journey, unobserved but real. Imagine now that you are standing in a vast library. The ceiling stretches endlessly overhead, and the shelves are lined with books, each one representing a version of your life. Some are thick with long, winding stories. Others are slender, just a chapter or two. You run your fingers along the spines and feel the weight of your own potential. Some books describe the you that pursued a passion for music, or moved to another country, or stayed in love with someone who only passed briefly through this life. In this library, nothing is erased. Every possibility is preserved, not as a memory or fantasy, but as a complete breathing reality. Let yourself wander through that library. Take down one of the books. Maybe it's the version of you that never changed careers or never left the place where you grew up. You read a few lines and recognize parts of yourself. The same laugh, the same longing, the same questions, but shaped by different seasons. You see this other you walking through a life that looks a little brighter in some places, a little dimmer in others, but no less authentic. Now open another book. This one tells the story of a version of you who took a risk that you did not take. Maybe they faced failure, maybe they found joy, maybe they discovered something that you haven't found yet. But here's the comfort. All these versions of you are doing the same thing in their own way. They are learning, feeling, loving, hoping, resting. They are trying to live with kindness and meaning. They are just as real as you are, and in some mysterious way you are connected to them, not just by imagination but perhaps by some subtle quantum thread. Some scientists speculate that these parallel versions of reality may occasionally interfere with one another, not in ways we can measure with certainty, but in the tiny echoes of experience. A dream that feels too vivid to be made up, a choice that feels guided by something beyond logic, a sense of déjà vu that carries emotional weight. These might be the brushstrokes of other lives, momentarily crossing your canvas. When you lie awake at night wondering how life might have turned out if you'd chosen differently, remember, in a very real sense, those other paths are still walking. They did not vanish, they simply took a separate turn, quietly branching into their own version of time. And if that's true, then nothing is ever really lost. Even your regrets are being lived out in a parallel life, not as mistakes, but as roads you simply didn't walk here. This way of seeing reality doesn't erase the beauty or responsibility of your current life. On the contrary, it deepens it. It tells you that the version of you lying here, breathing slowly, settling into rest, this version matters. You are not one in a crowd. You are a song in a chorus, unique, irreplaceable, and singing in harmony with all the other versions of yourself. Your life still matters immensely, not despite the others, but because of them. And here's something even gentler to consider. Perhaps when you dream, you visit these parallel selves. Perhaps sleep is not just a place of mental processing, but a doorway, a way your consciousness touches its other reflections. When you find yourself in a place you've never been, talking to someone you've never met, feeling things that seem both foreign and familiar, maybe those aren't inventions of your subconscious. Maybe they are messages, soft signals from the versions of you who walk through other doors. You wake with a strange peace or longing, a memory of something that never happened, and yet it feels real. In the many worlds view, maybe it is. And so tonight, as you drift into sleep, you don't need to fear missed opportunities or mourn old choices. Instead, you can imagine them continuing without you, not as stories you lost, but as dreams being lived by other versions of yourself. You are still here, and this moment is still sacred. But now you are accompanied by the soft awareness that reality is vast enough to hold every version of you with tenderness. Let your breath deepen now. Let your thoughts settle, not into answers, but into wonder. Imagine the universe as a garden of forking paths, and every step you take opens new branches, not with pressure or urgency, but with grace. You cannot escape possibility. It walks with you. And tonight as you sleep, perhaps you will hear one of those other versions of yourself, laughing, singing, whispering quietly from another world, sending you a lullaby from the life they are living, not to distract you, but to remind you, you are never alone. Every version of you is still trying, still hoping, still dreaming. You are more than one life. You are an unfolding song. And this verse, this you, is beautiful. Sleep now. Let others sing beside you. As you continue to lie still beneath the softness of your sheets, time stretches thin around you. The boundaries of now grow porous, letting thoughts wander into vast and quiet landscapes of possibility. You are no longer tethered to a single storyline. Instead, you float gently above the tangled braid of your own existence, seeing how each strand could have unfolded and understanding, perhaps for the first time, that all of them still do. There is something deeply restful about this realization, not because it promises control, but because it releases you from the illusion of singularity. You don't need to be only one thing. You never were. The linear story you've believed in, the one where each choice shuts down all others, begins to feel less like truth and more like habit. The mind loves clarity, but the universe favors depth. And in that depth, every branch continues. Let's return for a moment to where this idea begins, not in philosophy but in physics. The many worlds interpretation, though profound in implication, is grounded in simple mathematics. In quantum mechanics, particles like electrons, protons, and even larger molecules exist in a superposition of states. This means they don't take on a definite form or location until something, usually an observation or measurement, causes a result. Traditional interpretations say that this act of measurement collapses all other possibilities, but many worlds says no. Those other possibilities don't vanish, they persist, each in their own unfolding branch of reality. When applied to the microscopic world, this idea already challenges intuition, but when extended to macroscopic events, choices, thoughts, entire lives, it becomes not just strange, but beautiful. It suggests that you are not the sole keeper of your existence. Other yous walk beside you, never visible, never intersecting, but no less real. Now, lying here in the softness of night, you can begin to feel this not as theory, but as comfort. Maybe the version of you who forgave sooner still lives out that peace. Maybe the you who chased a dream without fear is feeling the wind in their hair. Maybe the one who chose rest over ambition is wrapped in quiet satisfaction. And maybe, most tenderly of all, the you who made a mistake is learning, healing, and still loved in their own quiet corner of the cosmos. You are not the sum of your regrets. You are not defined by what you missed, because nothing is ever truly missed. It simply becomes part of a different melody, a separate but parallel song. And just like that, regret itself begins to soften, not disappear entirely. It still visits, still teaches, but its sharpness dulls. You begin to feel gratitude for the version of you who tried something new, even if it wasn't this one. You begin to forgive the version who turned away, knowing another stayed. This reframing is not delusion, it's quantum kindness. It's the acknowledgement that your identity is wider than you thought, that your soul is spread across many paths, each shaped by love, fear, courage, hesitation, and none of it wasted. Perhaps the gentlest implication of many worlds is this: every choice you make is not a narrowing of possibility, but a branching. Choosing one path does not mean killing the others. It means following one thread while the others continue. And so instead of feeling that time closes doors, you begin to sense that it opens corridors, quiet, unlit, but not empty. This awareness invites you to live more lightly. You do not need to agonize over every decision. You can let go of the pressure to get it perfectly right. The fear of failure begins to loosen its grip when you understand that failure itself is only one song in the concert, not the ending of music altogether. Tonight, as you settle deeper into this new understanding, your breath finds a rhythm that matches the branching of worlds. Inhale, and another version of you awakens. Exhale, and another slips into a dream. All of you breathing together, like waves cresting at different moments but moved by the same tide. And now, let's imagine something quietly radical. What if these other versions of you are not entirely unreachable? What if on rare occasions the veil between worlds grows thin, not in a way we can measure, but in ways we can feel? Have you ever woken from a dream so vivid, so emotionally resonant, that it left an imprint on your day? Have you ever glimpsed a stranger's face and felt an inexplicable recognition? Have you ever stood at a crossroads and suddenly felt guided, not by logic, but by a soft certainty? These could be coincidences, or they could be echoes, reflections, crosstalk between lives that never fully stop touching. In the sleep that awaits you tonight, you may visit one of these parallel lives. Maybe it will appear as a city you've never seen, but feel you've always known. Maybe it will bring you into conversation with someone you lost or never met. Maybe you'll find yourself making choices you didn't make here, but that feel just as real, just as true. There's no need to control it. Just rest, and let your mind wander freely. Trust that your dreaming self knows how to navigate the terrain of possibility. Trust that the boundaries between worlds may be more porous than they seem. And when you wake, even if you forget the details, a part of that dream may stay with you. A feeling, a new gentleness, a release. As the many worlds view suggests, consciousness is not a singular, isolated candle. It is a constellation, many points of awareness flickering across a sky of potential. You are not limited to the you that lies here in this bed. You are vast, and tonight in the stillness, you begin to remember that this understanding doesn't make your current life any less important. In fact, it makes it more precious, because this branch, the one where you are breathing now, feeling now, letting go now, this version is uniquely yours. It will never happen in quite the same way again. The people you know in this life may exist in others, but not exactly as they are here. The choices you've made have given this version its own color, its own texture, and that makes it sacred. You don't need to know what the other lives hold to appreciate this one. Just knowing they exist is enough. It's enough to soften the edges of your doubts, to reassure the part of you that still wonders, what if I'd done things differently? The answer now is, you did, and you are still loved. Somewhere the version of you who needed to leave finally walked away. Somewhere the version who stayed finally found peace. Somewhere the version who spoke up finally felt heard. Somewhere the version who was afraid learned how to be brave. And somewhere, maybe even here, the version of you who needed to rest finally closed their eyes and let go. The night is wide now, stretched out across all versions of time, and in that wide night you are never alone. Other yous drift alongside you, and together you hum a song that spans dimensions, a lullaby without end, carried on the breath of infinite selves. Let this be enough. Let the science be a doorway, not a burden. Let the theory become feeling. Let the math fade into metaphor, if only for tonight. Because tonight is not about proving anything. It's about letting yourself be held by something larger than choice, larger than outcome. It's about knowing that even if the universe is endless, you are not lost in it. You are home in it. Now, as your breath grows even slower and your limbs grow heavy, feel yourself surrender to this comfort. The branching lives will continue, as they always have, but this life, this you, is exactly where it needs to be. You do not need to look ahead or look back. The multiverse takes care of that. You are free to simply close your eyes and listen to the sound of your own heartbeat, steady and quiet, like a lullaby written only for you. And as you drift off, remember this one truth. In every version of you, in every world that ever was or ever will be, you are searching not for answers, but for peace. And tonight, in this quiet corner of your life, you have found it. Sleep now. Everything else will continue gently, just as it should. You lie beneath the stillness of night, your breath slow and steady, your body gently sinking into the mattress that cradles your every curve. The world outside has faded into darkness, and time, that familiar pulse of clocks and calendars, seems to grow quiet. There are no appointments now, no deadlines, no ticking hands sweeping across the face of a dial. Just you, here, surrounded by quiet and something even quieter beyond it. Time, as you've always known it, begins to soften. In our waking hours, time feels solid. It marches forward with confidence, dividing our lives into past, present and future. We learn to measure it in seconds and years, to live by its rules, to fill it, chase it, fear it, and sometimes beg it to slow down. We remember moments gone, anticipate ones to come, and so often forget how to fully arrive in the one we're in. But tonight, we'll approach time differently, gently, as if it's not a ruler but a veil, not a prison but a whisper. In the quantum world, the very foundation of the universe you are resting within, time does not behave as it does in your everyday experience. There, events are not necessarily ordered. Causes don't always precede effects. A particle may influence another before either one seems to have moved at all. The deeper you look, the more time appears, optional, not fixed, not flowing forward like a river, but more like a still lake, a landscape of moments, all existing together, none more real than another. Imagine that instead of moving through time like a train across a track, you are a beam of light falling across a vast painting. The painting is your life, every moment, every breath, every thought already laid out across the canvas. From birth to now and beyond, the light doesn't create the image, it reveals it. And just because your awareness shines on one part of the picture, doesn't mean the rest has vanished. It's still there, waiting. Physicists sometimes describe time not as a flow but as a dimension like space. You can walk north or south, left or right, and in theory you might move forward or backward in time too if you knew how. This isn't science fiction. It's part of how modern physics treats time in theories like relativity. According to Einstein, time is woven together with space into a single fabric, space-time. And depending on how fast you're moving or how close you are to a massive object like a planet or black hole, your experience of time can stretch or shrink. This has been measured, proven. Astronauts aboard the International Space Station experience time very slightly slower than people on Earth due to their velocity. On Earth, GPS satellites adjust constantly for time distortion caused by both speed and gravity. In other words, time is not fixed, it is personal. It bends, it flexes, and if time is not absolute, then what exactly are we living through? As you lie still now, consider how memory shapes your sense of time. The past is not stored in your bones or your skin. It lives in your mind as patterns of electrical activity. What you call a memory is not the event itself, but a reconstructed version played gently in the theatre of your brain. Each time you recall it, the memory shifts slightly, influenced by mood, belief, and the passage of time itself. In this way, the past isn't just remembered, it's rewritten. And what of the future? That too lives in the mind, not as certainty, but as prediction. Your brain simulates what might come next. It builds models based on experience, preparing you for possible outcomes. In a sense, your mind is constantly time-travelling back to what was, forward to what might be, rarely resting in the only place where time is not an illusion, the now, but even now is tricky. Neuroscience tells us that the present moment as you experience it is actually a blend of what's already happened. It takes time for light to reach your eyes, for sound to reach your ears, for nerve signals to travel through your body. Your brain stitches these inputs together into a seamless experience of this moment, but that moment already passed by milliseconds. You are always a tiny step behind reality, always interpreting, never directly touching what is. So what happens if we let go of the idea that time moves like an arrow? What if, instead of marching forward, we imagine time as a vast meadow, and you, your awareness, are simply wandering through it? No hurry, no path, just soft footsteps through a field of moments. Perhaps in dreams we do exactly that. Have you ever dreamt of a time that didn't feel linear, where hours passed in seconds or a lifetime fit inside a blink? Have you ever woken with the sense that something ancient visited you in the night, or something from the future whispered in your ear? The dreaming mind does not care for clocks. It swims in moments that overlap and fold, and maybe that too is closer to how time really works. In quantum physics, there is a strange principle known as entanglement, where two particles, no matter how far apart, can instantly affect each other. Stranger still, these changes seem to ignore time altogether. One particle's state may appear to affect the other before the change happens. This has led some physicists to wonder, could time itself be a product of something deeper? Could the apparent flow of time be nothing more than the surface of something still? If so, then your experience of time, of this night, of every night, is a kind of illusion, a necessary one, but still a trick of perception. Beneath it, reality may be timeless, not frozen but complete, not empty but whole. So how does this help you now, as you lie here in the hush of your room? It reminds you that you are not behind, you are not running out. Time is not your enemy. It is not slipping through your fingers like sand. It is not counting down to anything. It is not something you need to manage or fix or fight. In this moment, you are outside of it. You are wrapped in the stillness beneath the ticking. You are resting in the fabric of now, and now is vast, and as you breathe slowly, you can begin to feel it. Time is not something you move through. It is something that moves through you. Every breath is a moment blooming, then fading. Every heartbeat is a reminder that you are the pulse, you are the rhythm, you are not late, you are not early, you are exactly where you need to be. Let go of the calendar now, let go of the urgency, let go of the weight of remembering and the pressure of predicting. Let your mind step off the train of time and onto the soft grass of presence. This is where real rest begins, not in escaping the moment, but in entering it fully. You may feel a loosening now, a widening of perspective. The day behind you softens, the worries of tomorrow grow dim. All that remains is this quiet unfolding, not linear but deep, not measured but felt. Time will return in the morning. You will re-enter its current and swim with its tides. But for now, you can float, you can drift. You can become still enough to feel what lies beneath it, a world where every moment is already waiting for you, a world where your life is not ticking forward but blooming outward, and in that world there is no rush, just room, just peace, just now. You wake sometimes with the sense that no time has passed at all, that you blinked, and it was morning. The night vanished like vapour, as if someone had removed it from the tape of your life. But was it lost, or was it never quite real in the way we think? Time's most familiar rhythm, the clock, is something we invented. The ticking, the hours, the days, all measured against cycles of motion. The spin of the earth, the orbit of the moon, the pattern of the sun across the sky. We built machines to track those motions, not because time flows, but because we need reference points to help us live inside change. But the ticking hands are not time itself. They are only a shadow of it. Imagine now that those ticking sounds stop. Imagine the clocks melt away like Dali's painting. No digital readouts, no alarms, no deadlines, just the gentle sensation of being. What are you then? Who are you without the constant accounting of seconds? Perhaps you're more than you imagined. You see, there is something curious about how humans relate to time. We both crave it and fear it. We long for more of it, and yet feel burdened by its passage. We say we don't have enough of it, that we've wasted it, or that it moves too fast. But tonight you are invited to let time go. Not in despair, but in trust. The brain is deeply affected by how we experience time. Emotions stretch or compress it. A joyful day flies past, a painful hour drags. When you're fully present, lost in music, in nature, in laughter, time seems to dissolve. This tells us something essential. Time isn't just what's happening out there. It's also what's happening in here. Neurologically, the perception of time is managed by complex processes in the brain involving the hippocampus, cerebellum, and insular cortex. But even these mechanisms are imperfect. Under stress, they distort. In flow states, they disappear. In trauma, they freeze. In meditation, they stretch. Time isn't one experience, it's many. It's as much emotion as it is measurement. That's why, when you lie here in this stillness, your relationship to time begins to heal. The longer you stay present, the more the past and future seem to slip off your shoulders. This isn't forgetting, it's unburdening. The thoughts about what you should have done yesterday, or what you need to do tomorrow, can wait. They are not urgent here. This is a space outside of clocks. The world has not always been ruled by hours. Ancient humans told time by the wind, by bird songs, by the angle of stars. Their days moved with the rhythm of sunrises and firelight. Time then was a companion, not a master. It lived in the way light shifted across the bark of a tree, or how the river grew louder with melting snow. There was no concept of being on time. There was only being in time. You can return to that state even now. Imagine you are walking again as we did in earlier chapters. But this time, not through a forest or along a coastline, but across a wide, silent field, under a sky where the stars do not move. This is a place where all of time lies before you like a horizon, flat, endless, accessible. You don't need to rush, you don't need to plan, you simply walk, and each step is both the first and the last. You exist between moments, not caught in them. This idea, timelessness, isn't just philosophy. In some interpretations of quantum cosmology, time is thought to be an emergent property. That is, time may not be fundamental at all. It may arise only when particles interact in specific ways, or when an observer appears to interpret change. In a closed system with no observer, the equations of quantum mechanics do not require time. They work just as well without it. So what does that mean for you lying quietly now, with no one watching but your own breath? It means you are not obligated to rush toward a future. You are not tethered to the past. You are not even bound to this exact second. You can rest in the openness between ticks, in the breath between events. It also means that change, real, lasting change, doesn't always require time. Sometimes a shift happens in a single moment, and that moment is timeless. The decision to forgive, the instant of clarity, the quiet yes whispered in the dark. These do not unfold across minutes or hours. They arrive whole, like a bubble rising through water, and when they pop, the world is different. So allow for that possibility, that something inside you can shift tonight, gently and without effort, not through a long process, but in an unmeasured blink. There is a beautiful idea in physics called the block universe. In this model, time is like a loaf of bread. All moments, past, present and future, exist at once. Your birth, the day you learn something that changed everything, the moment your body begins to rest deeply tonight. All of it is laid out across the loaf, and your consciousness simply slices through it, one experience at a time. From this perspective, you are not racing from beginning to end. You are exploring. You are discovering what is already there. Time doesn't pass, you do. Like a beam of light moving through a stained glass window, colouring each pane as you go. In this model, death is not an ending, but a final panel in the glass. It exists alongside all the others, not after them. And your life as a whole is always complete, always present, somewhere in space-time. Nothing is lost, nothing forgotten, just experienced. This doesn't mean your choices don't matter, quite the opposite. Every choice is a thread in the tapestry, and the you who lies here tonight is still weaving. But you don't have to fear running out of time. The threads are already part of the cloth, so sleep becomes something sacred, not wasted time, but a sacred shift in awareness, a surrender into the wider field of your existence. And in that surrender, something magical happens. Dreams are often non-linear, full of symbols and surprises, but they might also be echoes, resonances from other layers of you, or other slices of the timeline. They might be your consciousness brushing against different folds in the fabric, catching glimpses of what was or what might have been. Have you ever had a dream that felt more real than memory, or awoken with the sense that you remembered something you never lived? Perhaps you did. Perhaps not in this timeline, but somewhere. And maybe the deep rest you're about to enter isn't just recovery for the body, it's travel for the soul, not forward or backward, but inward, into the still center where all time meets, where you are not aging or declining or waiting, but existing fully as you are. This is the truth that quantum physics gently whispers, and that sleep helps you feel, that what you are is not limited to now or then. You are timeless. Not in the sense of immortality, but in the sense of resonance. What you feel, love, release, these ripple through space-time like waves. They never vanish, they remain, echoing gently across the fabric of everything. So tonight, as you fall asleep, you are not leaving the day behind. You are expanding. You are entering the part of reality that doesn't care for clocks, where your spirit does not tick forward but breathes outward. Time will be waiting when you wake, but for now, let it go. Let it dissolve like morning mist in a wide meadow. Let yourself drift, not forward, not backward, but into what has always been here, into stillness, into peace. You lie still now, wrapped in the familiar warmth of your bed, surrounded by the quiet hum of night. The world outside has softened, and even your thoughts begin to slow. Yet beneath the stillness, something deeper stirs, something you cannot see or hear, but which moves quietly beneath every atom, every heartbeat, every breath. Tonight you are not merely lying in silence, you are suspended in something far greater, a web of unseen energy that gently cradles all things. This is the realm of quantum fields, the hidden lattice from which the entire universe rises. Most of your life you've known the world through objects, a chair, a tree, a drop of water, solid things with edges, weight and colour. Even atoms, the tiniest pieces you can imagine, have often been pictured as miniature marbles spinning or orbiting in space. But science peering closer has revealed something startling. Beneath those marbles lies something more fluid, something that doesn't behave like an object at all, but more like a ripple in a pond. At the deepest level of reality, there are no hard borders, only waves of possibility, dancing across a boundless, invisible sea. That sea is made not of water or air, but of energy. Quantum fields that stretch across all of space and time. Every particle, electrons, photons, quarks, and more, is not a self-contained thing, but a brief local ripple in one of these underlying fields. An electron, the tiny carrier of electric charge, is a ripple in the electromagnetic field. A photon, which carries light, is a ripple in the electromagnetic field. These fields are not sitting in space. They are space. They are everywhere, all the time, never absent, never truly at rest. Even the most profound emptiness, the darkest vacuum between galaxies, is still filled with these fields, whispering and wavering just beneath the threshold of perception. Imagine lying not on a mattress but suspended gently on an endless invisible trampoline, one that stretches in every direction without end. Now imagine that you too are not separate from this surface, but part of it, a tiny crest in a gentle wave, shaped just so. That is what it means to be a ripple in a quantum field. You are not resting on the universe, you are of it, not beside the field but within it, woven from the same quiet thread that ties every star and planet, every breath and thought together. This idea of a universe built from rippling fields rather than particles changes how we might think about existence. It softens the world. What once seemed made of pieces becomes a tapestry. What once felt separate becomes connected. The light in your room, the atoms in your bones, the farthest edge of the cosmos, all arise from this same fabric. Even now, while you rest, these fields are in motion, not violently but subtly, like the slow sway of kelp in a deep ocean. Your body hums with this movement. The silence you feel is filled with song. In quantum field theory, particles are merely excitations, vibrations that happen when the field receives enough energy in one small spot. When you see a spark of light, a photon has rippled into being. When you feel warmth, your skin is catching waves from a vibrating field. But here's what makes it even more mysterious. Even when there are no particles, the fields remain. And even when nothing seems to be happening, the fields are never quite still. This is called vacuum energy, a gentle buzz in the void. Imagine standing in a vast open meadow. There is no wind, no sound, no visible motion. Yet, if you sit quietly long enough, you begin to feel it. The weight of the air, the faint pressure of the atmosphere, the hint of warmth from distant sun. In much the same way, the vacuum of space is not truly empty. It teems with energy. It pulses quietly, giving rise to the spontaneous birth and annihilation of virtual particles, pairs that flicker into existence, then vanish before they can ever be measured. They leave behind no trace, yet their influence is real. Their fleeting presence changes how other particles move. It alters the behavior of fields. It bends the shape of space itself. This is not science fiction. It is tested, measured, and woven into the most precise equations we have. The Lamb shift in hydrogen atoms, the Casimir effect between metal plates. These are not mysteries, but proofs that even what we call nothing is something. That emptiness is alive. And so you too are surrounded by this unseen hum. It flows through the floor, the air, the spaces between your thoughts. The quantum fields are not intruders. They are the foundation of what you are. The electrons in your body are not separate from the electron field outside. They are made of it. The protons in your blood arose from the quark and gluon fields, vibrating in just the right pattern. Your body, as distinct as it feels, is not walled off. It is open, porous, participating. When you touch something, a warm mug, a soft blanket, you are not colliding with its matter. You are feeling the repulsion between your fields and its fields, like waves interacting gently on the surface of a lake. Every interaction is a meeting of patterns. The warmth is not transferred, it is shared. The fields that heat your skin are the same fields that sing in stars, and those stars, so distant, so silent, are not far away in the language of fields. Their light may take years to reach you, but the fields themselves are everywhere, continuous, unbroken. In that sense, the starlight is not traveling through space like an arrow, but is a ripple moving through a shared medium. You and the star are both notes in the same music, both rising from the same string. There is comfort in this, a deep, wordless reassurance that nothing is truly alone, that you do not float in isolation, that even your quietest breath echoes in the field. You do not need to be seen to be connected. You do not need to move to be part of the motion. And what about your thoughts, your memories, your dreams? These too arise from waves, not in quantum fields directly perhaps, but in the electrical rhythms of your neurons. These rhythms follow the same laws. They pulse with ions, charge, electromagnetic movement. Every flicker of imagination is a dance of fields. Every heartbeat, a wave crossing tissue, born from energy that traces back to the stars. And those stars, their cores are furnaces powered by field interactions, fusion reactions that once ignited the atoms that now make up your brain. In that sense, the fields remember. They remember how to fold energy into mass, how to shape particles into matter, how to stir hydrogen into fire, and fire into life. And now, after eons of motion, they have become you, thinking, wondering, resting in this moment. Tonight, as your breath grows slower, your body heavier, your awareness softer, you are not falling away from the world. You are returning to its source, to the field that holds all things, not with force, but with openness. You do not have to grasp. You do not have to strive. You are already embedded in the weave. Let yourself feel that now, not as a theory, but as a softness, as a quiet hum beneath your skin, as a stillness that is not empty, but full of everything. And in that fullness, you are free. You are allowed to let go of form, of edges, of names. You can float again, not as a person, but as a pattern, not as a mind, but as a ripple, not as a moment, but as a movement. Sleep comes easier when you know the field will hold you. You are still lying here, resting softly within your body, and yet you are no longer confined to it. After drifting through the invisible threads of quantum fields, a new kind of awareness begins to take shape, not one that rushes to grasp, but one that gently receives. It's not a thought exactly, but a sensation, a quiet recognition that the space around you is not empty, that the silence beneath its surface is full of something more. All around you, and within you, is a fabric not woven with thread, but with motion. Quantum fields don't move like wind or water. Their motion is quieter, smoother, more patient. The universe doesn't shout, it hums, and this hum doesn't stop when you sleep. It continues, calm, present, eternal. As you rest, your body begins to sink further into the bed, and you feel a deepening calm begin to settle in. Beneath the relaxation, beneath even the beat of your heart, something deeper stirs. This is not imagination. This is the shared pulse of reality. Scientists call it the vacuum state, the lowest possible energy that a quantum field can have, even when there are no particles present. It is not truly zero. It is not nothing. It is the most fundamental presence there is. Even emptiness, then, is not absence. It is the subtle presence of potential. Imagine a field stretched across all of space, quiet and level like the surface of a windless sea. This is the resting state of a quantum field, what we call a vacuum. And yet if you disturb it, even slightly, it begins to ripple. That ripple is a particle. That ripple becomes energy. That ripple becomes the warmth of a fire, the sparkle of a star, the glimmer in your eyes. It's as if the universe is made of stillness that knows how to dance. And the more you learn about these fields, the more you see that they are not just passive, they are responsive. They interact, influence, and combine in complex, beautiful ways. This is how matter is born. A photon ripples in the electromagnetic field, and that ripple can, under the right conditions, generate an electron and its opposite, the positron. These particles are not separate entities, but new forms of vibration, new steps in the cosmic choreography. So what does this mean for you, lying here in the quiet space between day and sleep? It means you are not isolated. You are not defined by skin, or thought, or even time. You are part of the great choreography, a ripple that emerged from silence and now returns gently to it. Feel this as you breathe. With every inhale, picture yourself receiving the hum of the universe, the fields that flow through you. With every exhale, feel yourself gently releasing your shape, your worries, your need to hold anything. You are not letting go of your body. You are simply recognizing that your body is already part of something greater, that its outline is not an edge, but a pause in a larger rhythm. These fields do not judge or divide. They do not care what you have done today. They do not measure your productivity. They do not remember your mistakes. They only remember how to move, how to resonate, how to keep weaving matter and energy into new forms. They remember how to hold the space for possibility. And tonight, that possibility is rest. Let it hold you. Let the gentle ocean of fields cradle you, not as a separate object, but as a wave returning to the sea. This is not just poetic. It is, in a very real sense, the structure of reality. The quantum fields are not an abstract idea. They are measurable, dependable, and necessary. Without them, atoms would fall apart, light would cease to travel, your body would dissolve. Gravity, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear forces, each is carried by a field, each holds the universe together, and they do so without visible threads, without noise or fanfare. They are quiet guardians, and within this quiet you begin to realize you don't have to understand it all to be part of it. You don't need a degree in physics to be supported by the same field that guides starlight. You are included by default. You are already woven in. Even your rest is part of the equation. The fields don't disappear when you sleep. They simply continue their quiet play, stabilizing your cells, maintaining your breath, coordinating the delicate chemistry of dreams. You are being held, gently, completely, in a net that does not fall apart when you close your eyes. The more you soften, the more clearly you can sense it. Not with the mind, but with the body, with the breath, with something older than language. The body has always known how to listen to fields. You do it every second, absorbing photons through your eyes, translating field vibrations into sight, feeling warmth on your skin, which is just energy from infrared waves, hearing the voice that guides you now through tiny oscillations of air that began as muscular ripples in a human throat. Even this voice is a field in motion. In this way, you are not just connected to the universe, you are constantly in conversation with it, through sensation, through interaction, through every quiet way that energy flows in and out of form. And now, as your body sinks deeper into rest, something softer begins to emerge, not a thought, but a presence, a quiet spaciousness that exists behind your eyes, between your thoughts, beneath your skin. This is not an idea, it is the feeling of being part of something vast and gentle. It is the experience of unity, not in the mystical sense, but in the real physical sense that every part of you, every movement, every breath, is part of a single continuous field of energy. Let this awareness deepen now. There is no urgency here, no destination, only this soft unfolding. You are not trying to reach enlightenment. You are not seeking knowledge. You are simply remembering that even when you sleep, the fields continue their gentle weaving. They are the loom and the thread, and you are the pattern they create. In this light, sleep becomes sacred, not a retreat, but a return, not an escape, but a reconnection, not a loss of consciousness, but a widening of it. Even now, the dream world begins to stir, woven from the same fabric, sparked by the same energy. There is no boundary between waking and dreaming, only a shift in perspective. The field flows through both. You may dream of stars or oceans, of familiar faces or strange skies, but whatever form your dreams take, remember, they are not separate from the field. They arise from it. They are new ripples, softly stirred by the quiet hum that holds the universe. And in the morning, when you wake, the field will still be there beneath your feet, behind your breath, holding you gently, silently, lovingly, because it never left, it never ends, and you are always part of it. So rest now. Feel the soft weave of the universe beneath you, through you, as you drift deeper. There is no need to understand it fully, only to allow it, only to feel it, only to sleep.
There is a moment just before sleep takes you, when the mind becomes less certain, shapes begin to blur, boundaries soften, sounds grow distant, and time begins to stretch and bend. This twilight between waking and dreaming is gentle, and yet in its softness lies something surprisingly profound. It is in this space, this moment of in-betweenness, that the world begins to resemble the strange, layered nature of quantum reality, where many things may be true at once and certainty waits patiently for your gaze. You are familiar with reflection in a mirror, the way an image bounces back perfectly reversed, faithful to its origin but untouchable. But quantum reflections are different. They do not mimic the surface, they mirror the possibilities. A quantum system, say a single particle, does not occupy just one position or one path. It holds many at once. Before it is observed, it is not here or there. It is both. It is everywhere it might be, overlapping softly with all its possible selves. This is known as superposition, a central idea in quantum mechanics, and one that defies the tidy categories your waking mind prefers. Superposition means the world, at its most fundamental level, holds many truths at once, not metaphorically but physically. A particle can spin clockwise and counterclockwise simultaneously. It can take path A and path B in a maze. It can be here and there until a measurement is made, and the wave of possibilities collapses into one definite outcome. And here's where the softness lies. This collapse doesn't happen violently. It's not forced or loud. It's quiet, natural, like the gentle focus of your attention bringing something into view. Until then, the world rests in openness, in potential. It reflects not what is certain but what might be, a mirror not of what was but of what could become. As you lie in the dark, wrapped in stillness, imagine a lake at night. The stars above it shimmer in reflection, not fixed but rippling slightly with the movement of water. You can't tell exactly where one star ends and another begins. They overlap, they shimmer. This is what quantum reality looks like before you observe it. It is a lake of shimmering stars, each possibility reflected gently on the surface, all waiting quietly, without rush or need. Now picture your thoughts drifting like pebbles across that lake. Each time you focus your attention, each time you look, one reflection steadies, sharpens, becomes clear. The others remain, but just out of reach. This is the role of the observer. In quantum theory, observation is not passive, it is active. It participates. The act of looking helps shape what is seen. This may seem strange, too strange to be real, but it has been confirmed time and again in laboratories across the world. The famous double-slit experiment, repeated with photons, electrons, even molecules, shows this behavior clearly. When a particle is not observed, it behaves like a wave, passing through both slits and creating an interference pattern. When it is observed, it behaves like a particle, choosing one slit and one path. The act of watching changes what is. This isn't about perception in the psychological sense. It's about interaction, presence, participation. The observer is not separate from the world. The observer co-creates it. Let that thought rest with you, not to confuse or overwhelm, but to comfort, because it means you are not a stranger in this universe. You are part of its unfolding. You are not simply witnessing a world that spins beyond your control. You are entangled with it. Your attention, your awareness, calm, quiet, unforced, has power, and not power in the sense of control. You do not get to choose outcomes like selecting items from a shelf, but your presence is felt. Your interaction matters. Even the stillness you bring to this moment has an effect. Even sleep, even dreams ripple softly across the surface of quantum reality. You may ask, if reality holds many possibilities, why do I only see one? That is the mystery. One answer lies in something called decoherence, the process by which the many possible states of a system interact with their environment and begin to settle. Like ink spreading in water, the superposition fades into something that looks classical, singular, ordinary. The environment measures the system constantly, light bouncing, atoms vibrating, and in doing so pushes it toward one outcome. The quantum blur sharpens, the shimmering lake freezes into one picture. But the full range of possibilities doesn't vanish, it just becomes hidden. Like forgotten dreams, they are still there, folded into the background. And so you live in a world where reality feels stable, objects stay where you leave them, memories follow in order, time flows forward. But underneath, the softness remains, the field of potential, the overlapping truths, the reflections in the dark. Tonight, as you drift towards sleep, feel this multiplicity not as confusion but as comfort. Reality is not brittle, it is not rigid, it is flexible, adaptive, forgiving. It doesn't demand perfect choices, it allows for many paths, many versions, and in some interpretations of quantum mechanics, like the many worlds interpretation, those paths don't disappear, they unfold alongside this one, quietly branching, like soft echoes, not intruding, just existing. Other versions of you, living out other threads, not better or worse, just different notes in the same chord. You do not need to chase these other versions, you do not need to grasp them, just knowing they are there is enough. Just knowing that reality is wide enough to hold all of it, even the parts you never lived, is a kind of peace. Let that wideness fill your breath now. Inhale the possibility, exhale the surrender. Let yourself rest in the space between truths, not because it is uncertain, but because it is generous. You are not here to solve the universe. You are here to be part of its soft reflection, to shimmer for a moment in the still water of now, to know that the choices you've made are not the only ones you could have made, and still they brought you here, to this bed, to this breath, to this night, and here everything is enough. No path is wasted, no version is missing. Reality holds them all, with quiet grace. The still lake of possibility lies before you, undisturbed. In its surface glimmer faint echoes of every path your life might take, each one held with equal gentleness by the quiet universe. You rest at its edge, not as a distant observer, but as part of the reflection. The calm you feel is not separation, but inclusion. You belong here, not as a visitor in a strange world, but as a thread in its tapestry, a ripple in its fabric, a note in its song. In quantum reality, observation does not simply mean to see, it means to interact, to make contact. In everyday life we think of watching as passive, but in the quantum realm, even the smallest connection, light touching an electron, a sensor measuring a particle's path, changes the outcome. It's not an invasion, it's a conversation, one where reality answers your attention by becoming something definite, not fixed forever, but formed gently, precisely, in response to your presence. And that presence doesn't need to be loud, it doesn't require intensity or effort. In fact, the more quietly you hold it, the more beautifully it works. Like sunlight filtering through leaves, soft observation creates patterns without disturbance. It does not force, but reveals. You do this all the time, when you notice a feeling rise within you, when you listen to the world without trying to name it, when you rest without reaching. There is something sacred in such still attention. Science often frames the observer effect as something strange, an inconvenience to precision, but here in this space, you begin to see it differently. The observer is not a flaw in the system. The observer is part of the system. The gaze is not an intrusion, it is a participation. It is not that your eyes impose reality, it is that they help shape which of the many possible truths gets to rise into form. This makes every act of awareness a kind of creation, not one of control, but of connection. And perhaps, if you look gently enough, the world will show you something it does not reveal to those who demand it. Not answers, but presence. Not facts alone, but feelings. Not certainty, but intimacy. Because just as light can be both wave and particle, perhaps reality is both idea and emotion, both information and relationship. You are not just a processor of data, you are a being that perceives with warmth. The universe meets you there. It does not flatten to logic, it blooms in meaning. You may never fully understand why reality holds so many forms at once, or why it waits for you to choose one with your attention. But you don't need to. It is enough to witness it, to soften into the knowledge that the world is not finished until it is seen, and even then, it might still hold more than one truth. Think of this when you reflect on your own past, on decisions made, moments lost, paths not taken. Just as particles hold multiple positions until observed, perhaps your memories do too. Perhaps the stories you tell about your life are one possible thread, made real by your focus. Perhaps others lie beside them, untouched but present, not as ghosts but as quiet alternatives, soft companions, not regrets, possibilities. You might remember a moment differently tomorrow. That doesn't make today's version false. It means your mind, like the universe, is flexible, gentle, capable of holding multiple truths. Reality, in this way, is a mirror that never hardens. Its glass remains fluid, like water, and you are reflected not as a frozen image, but as a living possibility. As you lie quietly now, consider what it means to reflect, not in mirrors, but in thought, in presence, in kindness. When you reflect on someone you love, your memory is not a perfect recording, it is a recreation, and yet it feels real. That feeling is part of reality. That is your consciousness, shaping the world again, softly, as it always does. Scientists cannot say for certain whether consciousness is necessary to collapse a quantum wave function. Some interpretations suggest it is, others say it is the environment that does the collapsing. But what all interpretations agree upon is this: reality is relational. It is not a fixed backdrop, it is an unfolding conversation. And so tonight, in this moment, you are not falling asleep in a static world. You are drifting deeper into a living one, where meaning is shared, not imposed, where truth is felt, not just measured, where your rest becomes part of the unfolding. You are not watching from the outside, you are resting within the mirror. The quantum world is full of symmetries, reflections that echo across space and time, left and right, matter and antimatter, spin and counterspin. These mirrorings are not just patterns, they are the rules of the game. And sometimes, those mirrors break. A particle spins one way more often than the other, an imbalance forms, and that tiny asymmetry becomes the seed for everything that exists. The entire universe, this one, the only one you know, may have come into being because a mirror once cracked. There is beauty in that, in the idea that imperfection gives rise to existence. That symmetry breaking is not a flaw, but a beginning. The same may be true in your life. It is not the perfect reflections that shape you. It is the moments that tilt, wobble, bend, the choices that felt uncertain, the moments when you broke the symmetry of your habits and created something new. So as you rest here, feel no need to be still in a perfect way. Let your thoughts tilt, let your breath wobble, let the mirror bend. It is in the softness of that reflection that the truest image forms, not the one that is flawless, but the one that is alive. And know this too, even when you cannot observe, when sleep closes your eyes and dreams carry your attention elsewhere, the world continues to shimmer with possibility. It does not pause, it waits. It holds open the space for your return. You are never missing, you are never late. Your place in the reflection is kept for you, like a seat beside a quiet fire. So close your eyes now, and feel the mirror open. It does not reflect your surface, it reflects your becoming, and becoming never ends.
As you lie here, your body calm, your breath steady, your thoughts drifting gently into the night, you may find yourself wondering, who am I really? Not just as a name or a set of memories, but as a presence, a pattern of being within the vast interconnected reality we've been exploring.
In the stillness, this question doesn't feel urgent. It simply rests beside you like a companion waiting patiently in the quiet. In the language of quantum mechanics, everything we know to be solid, from electrons to entire atoms, exists in a state of potential until measured. A particle, before we observe it, does not have a single position. It occupies a range of possibilities. It is a probability cloud, not a fixed dot. And in many ways, so are you. You are not just one version of yourself. You are the convergence of many possible selves, a field of experience shaped not only by biology and memory, but by attention, interaction, and unfolding choice. Each time you make a decision, speak a word, feel an emotion, or shift a thought, you gently collapse a wave of possibility into one lived experience. But the others, the versions that weren't chosen, don't disappear entirely. In some interpretations of quantum theory, they continue to exist, branching softly into their own gentle realities. You may have heard of the many worlds interpretation. It suggests that for every possible outcome of every quantum interaction, the universe splits, not violently, but naturally, into all its possibilities. There is a version of you that turned left instead of right, spoke instead of staying quiet, said yes instead of no. These versions are not illusions. They are potential realities, quietly coexisting beyond your conscious reach. This doesn't mean that your choices are meaningless. Quite the opposite. It means your choices are what bring your path into form. The self you know, the one lying here now, resting in the calm of night, is the result of countless gentle collapses of possibility. And yet you are still soft-edged. You are still not fixed. You are still, in many ways, in motion. Think of your identity not as a statue, but as a wave, fluid, shaped by wind, by tide, by time. There is no single unchanging you. There is only the pattern that holds your becoming, a pattern that adjusts gently with each experience, each breath, each dream. This might sound abstract, but it's deeply personal. Your preferences, your moods, even your memories are not as permanent as they may seem. Neuroscience shows us that memory is reconstructive. Each time you recall an event, your brain rebuilds it slightly. Each time you imagine the future, you borrow from your past in new combinations. Your inner world is not static, it is probabilistic, a reflection of what is most likely, most familiar, most reinforced, but not the only possibility. And here again, quantum thinking offers something soft and profound, the reminder that uncertainty is not failure, it is space, it is potential. Just as particles do not have single paths until observed, your identity is not a finished product. It is a field of presence, always in dialogue with the world around you. So who are you really? You are the dreamer and the dream, the observer and the observed, the wave and the ripple it makes across reality. You are the memory of light passing through you, the imprint of kindness received, the echo of every voice that ever helped you feel seen. You are also the silence between moments, the stillness that holds space for change. You are not limited by your past. You are expanded by your participation in the present. The self that drifts tonight into sleep is not the same one who woke this morning. It has grown, it has shifted, it has absorbed experiences, ideas, feelings, and tomorrow you will be different again. Not in a dramatic way, but in the soft, steady flow of identity as process. Even in dreams, this process continues. Your sleeping brain explores possibilities without the need for logic. It plays with memory, rearranges imagery, rewrites emotional landscapes. In dream space, the boundary between actual and potential disappears. You are free to be many things, sometimes unfamiliar, sometimes oddly familiar. This too is a kind of quantum state, a kind of truth that is not about accuracy, but presence. In this way, rest becomes more than recovery. It becomes exploration. Sleep is not passive. It is active reorganization. Your brain consolidates memory, reinforces patterns, clears what is unnecessary, and builds new connections. And in the quiet background, your body continues to dance with quantum fields. Electrons in your cells still shimmer with uncertainty. Neurons still fire in delicate waves. The you who sleeps is just as much a participant in the universe as the you who acts. Even now, as your breath rises and falls, your cells are interacting with quantum fields, your body in quiet conversation with the very fabric of existence. The potential selves you hold, the calm one, the curious one, the uncertain one, the brave one, all drift gently in the space of who you are. And if you close your eyes a little deeper, you may feel them, not as ghosts but as companions, as alternate reflections in the same mirror, shaped by light and angle and gaze. Let this awareness soften you now. You do not have to choose a single version of yourself to be complete. You are allowed to be shifting, growing, becoming. You are allowed to contain contradiction, to have felt love and fear, peace and pain, all within the same day. That doesn't make you broken, it makes you whole. You are not a final product. You are a living wave of probability, and that wave is beautiful. It's okay not to know exactly who you are. It's okay to rest in the openness. The world, after all, rests in superposition until touched by care. And you are allowed to be touched gently, to let others witness you, to witness yourself, not with judgment but with curiosity, with calm, with kindness. So as you drift now into deeper quiet, let go of the pressure to define yourself. Let go of the need to be consistent, to be perfect, to be understood. You are already understood by the universe, simply by being part of it. Your presence is your proof. Your breath is your belonging. Let the field of who you are stay open tonight. Let the probabilities remain wide. Let the versions of you that were never chosen hold hands with the one that was. You are all of them, and more. You've felt it before, standing at a quiet crossroads in your life, or even just in your thoughts, this feeling that more than one version of you might be waiting. One path leads to something known, another to the uncertain. A soft hesitation arises, not out of fear, but because somewhere deep inside, you're aware that each direction carries its own self, a version of you that might unfold if only you took a single step that way instead of this. In most lives, this moment passes quickly. A choice is made, and life moves forward. But here, in this still space, you can slow time long enough to feel them again, those other selves, not with regret, but with wonder, with tenderness. They are not lost, they are not wrong, they are simply quiet, waiting in the wings of your being, echoes of what could have been, held lovingly in the soft quantum structure of who you are. Some theories in physics suggest that these versions of reality truly exist, that each fork in the road creates a new world, and a version of you continues down every branch. But even if these paths are only metaphorical, your mind understands them, your body remembers them, that time you almost said yes, the time you almost stayed, the career you considered, the person you nearly became. These selves still ripple inside you, not demanding attention, but simply existing, like quiet harmonics behind the main melody. And in truth, they are not separate from you. They are you, in potential form. You are the sum of every possibility you've touched, and even those you haven't. You don't have to choose between them to belong to them. They belong to you. Think about your memories. They don't arrive in straight lines. They shimmer, drift, overlap. Sometimes, a forgotten version of yourself surfaces unexpectedly. A way you once thought, a dream you once held, a feeling you haven't felt in years. Where does that come from? Not just the brain's storage, but the soul's layering. You carry not only one story, but many. Some told, some untold, all true in their own way. And when you reflect with kindness, when you remember without judgment, you give these past selves space to breathe. You become the gentle observer of your own unfolding. And as in quantum physics, that act of observation isn't passive. It heals, it integrates, it allows what was possible to become part of what is present. You might notice, in moments of solitude, an old version of you whispering, not in words, but in feelings, in soft nudges, in longings that come from nowhere. These versions aren't asking to return, they are asking to be seen, to be welcomed, to be acknowledged as part of the whole. The gentle child who once dreamed without limits, the teenager who quietly survived what no one else noticed, the young adult who pretended to be sure. They are not outdated, they are not wrong, they are roots. You do not grow by shedding them, you grow by including them. The quantum self does not move in a straight line, it expands in waves. Each version adds to the frequency of who you are now, not fragments, but facets. And then too, there are the imagined futures, the versions of you that haven't happened yet, but that live quietly in hope. The artist, the parent, the traveler, the one who rests more often, the one who speaks their truth. These selves are just as real in their own way. They are possible, and possibility, in a quantum sense, is never trivial. It is the raw material of reality. You don't have to force yourself to become any of them. You only need to know they're there. Waiting with patience, trusting that you'll come closer when the moment feels right. Some will never arrive, and that's okay. Others will unfold slowly, not as a grand reinvention, but as a quiet shift. One word said differently, one choice made with a little more love. And in those small turns, the future you once imagined begins to emerge, softly, into the now. All of this is held in your body. All of this lives in your nervous system, in your mind, in the quantum fields that ripple through your cells. You are not an individual in isolation. You are a constellation of experiences, connected by breath, and the breath itself is proof of change. No inhale is the same. Each exhale releases something slightly different. Each cycle carries memory, awareness, and renewal. Just like quantum probability, breath holds the paradox of being both predictable and uncertain. Right now, as you breathe, notice this soft truth. Every breath could be a beginning, not because you are unfinished, but because you are infinite in direction. You might find as you relax deeper that some inner version of you stirs, the one who needs rest, the one who is finally allowed to let go. Let them rise. Let them take up space. You are safe here. You are welcome here. There is room for all of you in this quiet moment, and that includes the you who still doesn't know exactly who they are, the one who is searching, the one who wants answers, the one who feels lost. Let them be here too, because even uncertainty has its place. It's part of your quantum identity, not confusion, but openness, not lack, but potential. You don't need to define yourself tonight. You only need to feel yourself, exactly as you are, with all the versions that flutter softly behind your thoughts. You are not a single outcome. You are the wave of you. You are the full field. The probabilities are not distant theories. They are your lived truth. And just like a particle, you do not have to choose one position to be real. You can remain softly undefined. That too is reality. And when you are ready, when your mind is quiet and your heart a little more still, you can gently allow one version of yourself to rise for tomorrow. The rested one, the kind one, the curious one. You don't need to be all of them at once, just the one that feels closest. The others will wait, not with resentment, but with peace. They know you will come to them when the time is right, and until then, they watch over you, like stars behind clouds, not lost, not forgotten, just resting in the wide sky of who you are. So breathe now, deeply, inhale softly, exhale slowly. Let your awareness dissolve into the vast field of selves you carry. You are here, and all of you is welcome, even the parts you haven't met yet, especially them.
You have wandered far, through entangled threads, through waves of soft uncertainty, through mirrored realities and branching selves. You have floated with photons and paused with particles, listened to the whispers of the universe where time stretches and probability sings. And now, after all that drifting, all that gentle inquiry, you are returning, not to the place you began, but to something deeper, a stillness that was waiting all along, shaped by everything you've come to feel. There is no rush. You are not being pulled back. You are simply drifting toward the center, as leaves return to the quiet surface of a pond. No wind, no force, only gravity's whisper, only gravity's hush. In this final chapter there is no need to search. Everything you've seen, everything you've touched, lives now within you. There is no separation between you and the story, no distance between the breath you take and the fabric of reality itself. You are home, and the universe is with you. Close your eyes if they aren't already closed, not in command but in invitation. Let the darkness behind your eyelids become a canvas again, a soft space where images, memories and feelings can rise without structure or shape. Let them come and go like clouds across a starlit sky. You've seen now how the universe behaves not like a machine but like a dream, one that responds to attention, that unfolds in presence, that breathes with you. Your body, so still now, carries the echoes of quantum patterns. Every atom within you came from stars born in the collapsing hearts of ancient suns. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen moving through your lungs, all of it once shimmered in stellar fields, and those atoms, still active, still humming, continue to participate in the great wave of becoming. You don't control them, you don't need to. They are you, and they know what to do. There is a deep comfort in this, the realization that existence itself is fluent in care, that the same forces that guide galaxies into spirals also hold your cells in harmony, that the same uncertainty that governs electrons also creates space for your growth, your rest, your gentle change. When you inhale now, you are not just breathing air, you are breathing pattern. Breath is an interface between the quantum and the quiet. Each cycle of inhale and exhale a conversation with everything. You are not small in this picture, you are essential, and your stillness is not emptiness, it is resonance. What we let go and what we keep. In the stillness we remember not just the facts but the feelings. The feeling of quantum possibility, how the world holds its breath, waiting for your gaze. The feeling of entanglement, how two particles or two people remain mysteriously joined. The feeling of superposition, how the self is not a single thing but a song of selves. And finally, the feeling of peace that rises when we let go of needing to know it all. Because in the end, knowledge is not always about answers. Sometimes it's about knowing how to sit with wonder, about learning the rhythm of not knowing, and discovering that even uncertainty has a quiet wisdom. So now as we return, we do not try to carry every detail with us. We carry the shape of the journey, the feeling of having listened, the gentleness of having been present. We let go of trying to understand everything, and keep only what helps us rest. The sound beneath thought. Listen, just for a moment, beneath the sound of these words.
Beneath even the voice that speaks them, there is something quieter than language, a pulse, a presence, a shimmer of awareness. That is you too, the version of you that has no name, no labels, no goals, the version that is not striving, not fixing, not remembering, just being. This is what remains when thought slows. This is what holds you when emotion subsides. The clear, reflective surface beneath the waves. You may think of it as consciousness, or spirit, or simply stillness. Whatever name you give it, it does not ask anything of you. It only welcomes you home, and the beauty is, this quiet place, this gentle baseline has always been with you, even during the moments you felt most lost, even during the moments when your mind was loudest. It's here now, waiting, not for action, but for arrival. As we come to the end of this journey, know that you are not closing a door, you are widening one. Quantum reality doesn't conclude, it continues, it loops and shifts and flows, just like you. Tonight's story may settle, your eyes may grow heavy, but the quiet understanding you've touched, that will remain. It doesn't depend on memory, it doesn't require explanation. It lives in the way you soften when you breathe, it lives in the way you notice, in the space you now give to stillness. So even as this chapter ends, the resonance continues, like ripples moving outward, like starlight from a long-vanished sun. You don't need to remember every concept, you don't need to quote quantum principles, you only need to feel what you've begun to understand, that the universe is not a place you observe from afar, it is a field you belong to, and your presence, even in silence, shapes it gently. Let the world carry you. Feel the bed beneath you again, not with effort, but as a return. Feel the support it offers, the warmth it holds, the way it gives you permission to let go. Let the world carry you now. There is nothing more you must do. You have already done enough. You have listened. You have imagined. You have wandered through probability and returned with presence. Let gravity draw you down, not in weight, but in welcome. And as your breath deepens and your muscles soften, know that you are not drifting away from the world, but deeper into it. There is no separation between the cosmos and your chest rising and falling. There is no gap between the theories and the rhythm of your heart. Quantum or not, real or imagined, everything belongs here, including you, the final breath before sleep. One last breath now, long, slow, and nourishing. Let it fill not just your lungs, but your whole being. And then, let it go, and with it, let go of questions, let go of effort, let go of self-definition. Let yourself become, once more, the field, unobserved, undefined, unlimited. And as your awareness fades softly into sleep, trust that you are still held, still known, still part of the rhythm, not alone, but connected, not lost, but luminous. You return now to the stillness that was always there, and in that stillness, the universe sings you gently to sleep.